This is your final warning. It's time for midnight session in the morning. The gang is ready to go, and it's time for the show. It's time for midnight session in the morning.
Good morning, everybody. We got Andre, the boss man, here. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent. Greetings, everyone. Glad to be here.
We also have Chris Brawley of Bleeding Fool News.
Who is muted for the occasion?
Happy hump day, everybody. Thank you.
He pulled a Paul Chatto. We also have Paul Chatto pulling one.
Yeah, I'm pulling constantly. I might have to run away because speaking of pulling, I've got to do a stretch and fold on my sourdough. My alarm went.
So
Is that what we're calling it these days?
I was going to say, is that what the boomers are calling it now? Pulling out the sourdough?
Yeah, stretch and folding. I need
like,
to
my morning routine.
Yeah, my pulling, my stretch and fold.
push and pull. Yeah, nice.
We're glad you're back, Paul.
Well, nice to be. Monday was a holiday, a Canadian holiday. So
our Monday coming up is a holiday.
what do you got?
It's Memorial Day, isn't it?
That's right. We
Yes.
memorialize
That's right.
our military.
You memorialize the large fat black woman at Times Square in New York.
Well, I don't want to make fun of Memorial Day. It's really about,
True.
people we lost, service members we lost.
Yeah.
But
It's supposed to be about that, but it's basically the kickoff of the summer movie season.
yeah, it's a
Officially.
3-day weekend. It's box office, blitzkrieg. It's everything.
In Chato's defense, though, I don't think that he was making fun of Memorial Day
No.
so much as he was making fun of the statue in New York.
Oh, we have an embarrassment of riches in the U.S. to make fun of. So
Well, everyone does. You just have it in front of the whole world. I mean, like, for instance, we have so much to be ashamed of in Norway, but the only people who are aware of that is Sweden, who mock us first constantly. But yeah, it's not everyone else.
Yeah, we have. And I mean, statues are a weird thing too. It's often. Most people hate the statues when they're initially erected, and then they kind of develop a life of their own. And sometimes, people end up liking them. It's one of those weird things. I mean, most people, you never survey regular people for anything with regards to design, art, or taste, because generally they're hidebound in their ways and they don't want change. Steve Jobs never asked Apple's clients what they wanted, because you'd never get anything useful back, right? So
sounds like today's Disney fans.
yeah, I mean, go to a museum, and if you see a Henry Moore or a Rodin, I don't think anybody would want those if they had been initially asked, but they're beautiful sculptures, right? I mean, it's a very difficult thing. I actually didn't mind. All kidding aside, I don't mind the oversized lady statue.
Fluffy. My wife says fluffy.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It's going to be fun. It's like one of those things where people will, rub the toe of the statue until it's nice and shiny, right?
They have, up on Wall Street, they've got the bull. I think the bull is still there.
The bull, yeah. Listen, Hungary is just festooned with my parents' home country, festooned with warriors on horses.
Oh, sweet.
Everywhere. And my dad at the university that he went to, there was just this massive one, and he went out late at night with the guys, drilled a hole in the penis of the horse, filled it full of water. And then the next morning, he corked it. And then the next morning, he sort of like sidled up to the horse, pulled the cork, and it was peeing all day.
We've been trying to solve that vandalism case for years, Paul.
Who was it? No, my dad got into trouble.
Name names.
Yeah, that's right. Now, after all these years, and my dad is dead. Now the truth can be revealed.
Posthumous justice.
That horse had a family, sir.
That's right. They're never gelding. They're never, they're never female horses, at least in Hungary.
Oh man, that's
So
hilarious.
yes, well,
I
all the
live near
Soviet statuary. You're
I
lucky,
live near a Civil War. What do you call it? Just a park
right?
in Tennessee, and they've got the statues of the generals up on their horses and
Yeah.
everything. It's quite fun to climb up on.
How many of them are actually really well done?
They're beautiful. No, they're all beautiful.
Okay, no,
Yeah, they probably use the same artist throughout, but I'm not quite as knowledgeable as you are on your
statuary.
sculptures. Yes, statuary. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, well, Hungary was filled with Soviet statues when they took over after World War II.
Yeah,
and gigantic, heroic workers unite statues.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But those
bet
are
they look
pretty
amazing.
amazing to look at later. Same with like those murals and stuff that should
Yes.
be all over the place as well. I mean, that's worth a trip to Hungary just for those. That's
So
some
those-
works of
but
art right there.
What's again? I don't want to belabor this, but again, the sense of humor of the Hungarians, while all the other Iron Curtain countries destroyed the Soviet statuary, Hungary gathered all these massive things together into a tiny space. So initially they were on their own, vistas ahead of them. But Hungary's sense of humor was, let's just grab them, stick them like so they're side by each, so people could visit them. But now they're reduced and they're comical in the way that they've been crowded together, which I think is a nice commentary. Why destroy them? Make fun.
Yeah,
of
I agree with that. I mean, that's a nice way to preserve history at the same time as you subvert it a little bit.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
Norway, I'm sure, has got Soviet-looking statuary based on your politics.
Dude, we have Soviet-looking city halls.
It could be the pageantry of socially unacceptable art.
That's right. The favorite building material of the Soviet era, concrete. Lots of concrete.
Oh yeah.
Dude, like our architecture, I mean, it's don't even get me started.
It's impressive.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very oppressive.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Anyways, on to what's the big story before I do my stretch and fold?
Yeah, well, we of course we have a couple of big stories today. The real big story is that Warner Brothers Discovery shares have been downgraded to junk status.
Wow.
Mikey's
save
supposed to
that
come
one.
talk to us. About
Yeah,
that.
we'll save that one for a few minutes
Holy
longer till
smokes.
Mike comes in here, because this is really his forte. Other entertainment news, well, not really entertainment, but Jake Tapper, he released his new book on the decline and cover up of Biden's mental condition. Now, that's not really entertainment per se, but I put it in here because one of the most common grounds of feedback that I have been getting for years, is that this show and so many others like it in our sphere of YouTube has been a source of helping people stay sane in a world of gaslighting. And that was part of the gaslighting. And now kind of like the truth is coming out. Like, no, you weren't insane. You were being gaslit the whole time. And that's kind of like what we were seeing. Like the big news network and everything, they overtly and deliberately lied to you. And here's the vindication. So, Tapper was grilled pretty good on Megyn Kelly, because he's now writing a book about what's going on without really acknowledging his own culpability. Let's put it that way. So we can maybe touch on that a little bit. Beyond that, until Mike gets here, we have a couple of super chats to go through here. Packing Proton starts us off for $2 with Google VO3 AI. Damn, Hollywood, watch out. I haven't seen this particular thing myself, but having seen some other AI, yeah, I'm inclined to believe that. And not just Hollywood. I mean, that's programmers and so many other things. Watch out. But But yeah, that's a demon. It's going to be very difficult to put back in the bottle. And Dark King has a nice update for us, or that's nice. That's a matter of definition, but still an update. For $2 Australian, Evita production starring Rachel Zegler is flopping. Now, Zegler, of course. No, it has opened, and it was really touted how amazing she was, and what a huge career move it was for her to be live on stage, as opposed to these pesky multi-million-dollar blockbusters. That's, for everyone. Like the real stars, they're on stage, so no one is watching. And that's the thing. No one is actually watching her there either, because now we have like the numbers, and Evita, starring Rachel Zegler in their role previously made famous by Madonna, is flopping. People really don't care. It would appear that she's not the huge draw even for the live musical crowd. Mr. Brawley, are you surprised to learn about this? Do you feel like booking a flight to London to watch Evita in support?
Short answer, not in the least. No, I have no interest at all. I just find it amusing.
Don't cry for me, Rachel Ziegler. How's that?
She does get some high profile gigs though, doesn't she? I'll give her that.
Well, it remains to be seen, though, how many high-profile gigs she will be getting, because now she has flopped on the big screen with basically every single movie she has been in has flopped. And then she still leads in a live action, in a live musical, and now it's flopping as well.
Yeah.
So not a lot of hits in her career, let's put it that way.
Now, what was that?
So,
Y2K was a bomb. The West Side Story was a bomb.
And Y2K was a bomb even relative to its budget.
Yeah. Which was low. Yeah. No, I mean, Zegler is sort of the female Pedro Pascal, it feels like, though. I mean, she is in a lot of different things right now. And
worse in a lot of ways, because even though she has zero charisma with any of her...
Well, she's a theater kid,
Well, I mean, and not only that, she can't get any work now. Pedro's in everything. All he's got to do is breathe, and he gets a new role.
Well, after that video the other day, I don't know if she starts making videos like that. Who knows? She could see a turn. But
video the other day.
Pedro's video.
Oh, you're talking about this?
I'm gonna lick the stick. I'm gonna lick the stick. Then I'm gonna put it in my butt. Put it in my butt. Put it in my butt.
I'm pretty sure that went straight up his ass.
I have not heard it with the overdub, so that was a new.
That's a recreation of probably what they were listening to.
Okay, well, or maybe that was just some inner dialogue that he was
that too.
But but we have some more information from behind the scenes here on this Evita production, courtesy of Paulie, who messaged us behind the scenes.
Who looks just like me.
And who messaged us behind the scenes here. And what he said is that Evita, it's in London, so that's why I said you had to go to London to go there. Starring Rachel Zegler as Eva Perón, directed by Jamie Lloyd, and presumably it's pre-sales for its bombing, because it hasn't premiered yet. It'll be from June 14th to September 6th. Other cast includes Diego Andres Rodriguez, who's playing Jay, making his West End debut, and it'll feature the same music and lyrics as Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice as the original. But correct, pre-sales are weak. That's why it's bombing. I mean, this thing, it basically should be sold out for the duration of its run, and it isn't. So, Chris, if you change your mind, if you want to take a trip to London for the pleasure of seeing Rachel Zegler live, you can still do that.
Okay.
There should be plenty availability.
I'll think about it. Let's see if the tickets start to reduce in price, right? Maybe they'll pay us to come come attend the what is her next movie? She's doing some Marissa Tomei movie next, right?
I don't recall that.
She
Unless if
gets
we're
it from me. I think they're related, like a mom and daughter type thing. I think she's got
Yo.
a movie with
yeah. Hey,
Can
Paulie.
you, hey,
Yeah, we hear you.
can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
All right. I know. How you guys doing, man?
Hey,
Great.
good.
Doing good.
Good. How you stretching, Shado?
I have to go and do a stretch and fold. Actually, I'll be right back.
All right. All right. Stretch your back out. So you got the info there, and hello to the chat, and to Tom and Chris. So you got the info on the Evita, right? They're pimping this out like it's like the going to be the next greatest thing since sliced bread. But the fact is that the pre-sales are really bad, and now they're trying to scheme subscribers to the theater into buying tickets. So if you are a member of a regional theater company, South Coast Repertory, the Amundsen, whatever it is, you pay for a subscription for the year. And usually they'll have all like the Guys and Dolls, the big shows, and then they'll have some experimental theater pieces. But everyone wants to go to the Guys and Dolls, to the Evitas. So that being said, this should have been sold out already, right? Because this is the Vita. This doesn't get any bigger as far as musical name recognition.
Still got 3 weeks. They still got about 3 weeks before the show starts. Though, Paul.
Sure, but I know Nate, Mr. H, did this a few weeks ago. He compared the pre-sales of where they're at to other shows that are part of said the season. With theaters are very strict. They're very, it's very disciplined. They'll have their seasons curated and blocked out years in advance. Those other shows are like sold out. There's John Lithgow doing something, sold out. All right, so that's one thing's going on. This is the Ziegler effect, guys.
Probably because this thing should be sold out by rights.
I haven't even gotten started, Andre.
Carry on.
It's reimagined too, is what I hear, right?
I haven't gotten into the weeds on the vision for that show. But here's the Ziegler effect. Coming out of Snow White, the lead of Snow White should have been booked for 2-3 years. 2 films in the can, 5 that are happening. That's you're coming out of one of the biggest brand names ever. The Ziegler effect is this. She has not been hired for a couple of years on anything new, no new films. The only thing that she has done was Romeo and Juliet last fall, which made its money back, made a couple bucks. Kit Connor, you could say, who's in a lot of movies right now, Warfare, etc., was really the draw there. Now she's doing Evita. When you do a theater play, guys, much less a musical, you're committing so many days, weeks, and months to that said play that you really can't go and do a movie, go and do a TV show. Romy, who gets offered plays all the time, has to turn them down. Why? Because she'll get a 2-day, 3-day gig on a TV or film, and that basically is the equal pay to committing to four months on a play. Romy's name compared to Rachel's is nothing. So actors just don't do these. So if you're coming out of Snow White and all you got is said musical that you did, and you could say it was a hit, but really it wasn't because of you, Rachel. It's because Romeo and Juliet and Kit Connor. Then you're gonna go and do this in the UK, and you're saying it's my lifelong dream. You said that about every role you've done. Now, this movie, the only film that she's got lined up, it's not in production, guys. It's not even financed. It was an announcement to go and shop it around at Cannes. by a UK studios starring Marissa Tomei and Ziegler.
Oh, okay.
It's based on a true story of a daughter and mother reunited over YouTube a few years ago. Cool, sounds like a good story. Whatever. There's no money there, guys. They're going to Cannes to shop it, which is what a lot of people do. But the Jennifer Lawrence movie just got bought for an incredible amounts of money. That's because that's a real star. She'll do a film for nothing and get it sold for millions. This hasn't been made. It's not greenlit. It's not pre-production. It is a potential, heartfelt, zany comedy, whatever, with Marissa Tomei. And if it gets sold, if it gets financed, it's because of Marissa's name, not Ziegler's name. And that being said, it's probably not going to get more than $20-30 million to make. So, Andre, guys, the Ziegler effect is this. Jenna Ortega can't be busy enough coming out of Beetlejuice and Wednesday.
Well, true.
Some movies have flopped, but she's endeared herself to the audiences. They really don't care. They like Jenna Ortega. They'll see the next thing. She is so busy. She is booked 2 years out. Ziegler can't get a film to save her life. And that is the truth. And what I recommended is that she go away for a couple of years and just keep doing Broadway. But you come out of, and I'll finish up. You come out of Snow White, which should have been the coming out, so to speak. Like she did with West Side Story. The movie job should have been lined up, Chato. They should have been completed. But she is a co-star on an indie film that hasn't even been financed. And that is the direct effect of what Rachel did to her career. And yeah.
You know what that reminds me of a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Amber Heard, who also had this small little indie thing that required a ton of financing after the whole like Johnny Depp thing, and that's all, nothing else since then.
Do we think she's blacklisted, or just everybody's a little cautious about casting her?
Amber Heard or Ziegler?
No, Ziegler. I'm sorry, yeah.
Well, I had broken it down in a discussion, and I'll throw the link there if you don't mind in the chat.
Go for it.
On the three elements of success with Ortega is that the number one thing is that you have to have a great reputation on set. People gotta want to work with you. And the truth is that hasn't come back. What's come back to me is that she's a pain in the ass to work with, Ziegler. That's huge. That even trumps your politics. Because politics-wise, they all kind of agree with her woke politics.
Because I think that people can forgive that you're difficult to work with if you bring in enough money for the producers that the other actors are just going to have to suck it up and bear it. But if you don't do that, and you have a reputation for being difficult, and you don't then bring in the money, then you're kind of screwed, aren't you?
Well, here's the other one. What's your reputation with the fans?
Yeah, that as well.
See, we can make the argument that's like, Ortega's overexposed. Flops after flops. She's picking bad movies. But her reputation with her fans is, at this point, is excellent. She doesn't talk down to her fans. She doesn't try to educate her fans. Fuck that. That's Pascal. That's Ziegler. That pisses me off.
Yeah, absolutely. And that pisses lots of people off. So I'm curious to how long Pedro Pascal can keep this going with the fans now suddenly having had enough of him. Because that's certainly what it seems like.
Well, again, there's fans and there's fans.
True.
If he goes
with an N, right? Not a G. An N, correct? Not a G.
What?
Fans with an N, not a G, right?
Yeah,
okay.
fangs.
All right. I thought I misheard something.
No, fans. The thing is, there's half a dozen people that we don't think very highly of. Yet, if they walk out onto the street in New York or wherever they happen to be, they will be thronged by a considerable number of people, more people than we would be thronged by.
True.
It's I'm not a huge what's the oh god, the woman in brain work Wicked, the
Cynthia
Oh,
Erivo.
Cynthia Erivo. Yet I saw her walk out on the New York sidewalk, and she was just filled. She was just thronged by people, and she was signing autographs with her long nails and things like that. Luckily, she has ink on each one of the end of them that she easily signs them. And same with Pedro Pascal. These people, you can't underestimate the volume of people who do love them. Not that turns them into a movie star. Pascal is never going to open a movie. He's not Cary Grant, right?
You should have told Marvel this before they cast him as Mr. Fantastic.
He's more like Rock Hudson, I hear.
Rock Hudson could open a movie.
Yeah, but he was gay. That was the joke.
But that wasn't
Pedro?
why he was opening a movie. I don't know what Pedro is. I don't care.
Pedro,
I missed the joke,
Ziegler, Ortega, none of them can open a film
Correct.
on their own, just with their name. No.
That's
No.
right. But they still have huge fans. Oh, and my point is that if you're a weak human being and you're surrounded by 1,000 people who want your autograph, that is all the sustenance that you need to live off of, right?
Yeah, it's exactly like someone like Taylor Swift, for instance.
So she's a huge star. But yeah, you all.
I was gonna say, yeah.
You will bathe in the accolades of those people. I mean, it is very addicting. Even with the frantics, we weren't Taylor Swift size, but we would Dan and I would literally be walking down the streets in Toronto, and then 10 people would suddenly surround us wanting our autographs. We had to pay them, but it was quite thrilling.
So you were signing checks.
Correct.
Yeah,
That's exact. It's the only way we could get people to love
I
us.
see.
Yeah,
You know,
we are weak. Humans are weak. Actors are weaker.
Well, it doesn't take many. Obviously, they start believing their own hype.
Yes, that's exactly. They're smelling their own farts, and Pedro Pascal has become absolutely intolerable.
Yeah. Well, and it's a shame too, because sometimes the only thing that sets those people right is some massive trauma or tragedy or humiliation. And I don't want that for anybody. You would think maybe Snow White's bombing failure would be enough to maybe humble.
But on the other
Probably
hand,
it was more of a trauma for Disney than it was to her.
Yes.
right, right. In her bubble, she's
Yes.
a success.
and
She's the gas queen.
Paulie
and
will confirm this for me, but I have seen actors bomb and be surrounded by their sycophants, and then being told that, oh, it wasn't your fault, oh, it was the audience, or this or that, or something like that, and then that bolsters their ego. I mean, that's not uncommon.
No, well, and it's not even just in their little circle of friends, the people in their orbit. Even the mainstream media makes these excuses.
Well, they're publicists too.
I was just looking, I shared it in the private chat, something from Screen Rant that was telling you how fantastic she was, that Snow White would have been a much worse movie without her, and on and on and on. And I'm thinking it doesn't even have to be the people in your peer group or the people you surround yourselves with. The media is so addicted to or committed to pushing slop that, I mean, you can be reviled by most of the audience and you're not going to get the blame. It's not your fault. They don't know what's good. They don't understand you, whatever. I mean, it's really kind of sick to watch sometimes.
Yeah, they all have huge fan followings on social media.
Right.
There's that too.
None of it with those that we're talking about. They don't translate into box office money. Maybe they'll pick it up on. With Ortega, she is a powerhouse on streaming, big time. to where some of her independent films have gotten back into top 10s for a brief time, and Wednesday. But as far as opening up a movie, no, none of them. None of them.
No,
Well, not a lot.
I don't think she
Do that
added
these days.
anything to the box office of Beetlejuice.
Who? Jenna Ortega?
Yeah.
I disagree.
You think because she was in it, the box
I disagree. I think it helped. Yes.
I think so too.
Hmm.
My daughter couldn't give two shits about Beetlejuice, but she wanted to see it because Wednesday was in it.
Okay.
She knew that, of course, Wednesday is just that one character, but because of Wednesday, she likes Jenna Ortega. She may not know Jenna Ortega's name, but she knows her face. It's like, I like that face.
Okay.
Jenna Ortega is one of the closer people we got to an actual movie star right now, I would say.
Mm.
I mean, I'm not saying she's a tried and true movie star, but she's got enough of a name. You got Timothy Chalamet, who's another one. Sydney Sweeney possibly is on the cusp of becoming one if she can find the right role and the right thing to kind of set her up.
Yeah, everybody needs that special role. But
I mean, my point I guess I'm rolling towards is, and I've said it time and time again, Hollywood needs to reinvent the movie star, right? And the biggest problem is they've got some of the most obnoxious people in the world to work with right now, Rachel Zegler being a grand example. So unless you've got a Jenna Ortega, which is a rare and few and far between, like there's not a lot of people I can point to and say, yeah, they're possibly the next big thing. Those are the only handful I can think of right now. The rest,
I mean, yeah, I'm totally with Tom. I mean, I find it fascinating because I can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Jenna Ortega flops, box office wise. Movies really no one's heard of. Some were decent, some were bad, and yet she's beloved. She's the hottest thing still.
as much crap as we give Pedro Pascal, she's in almost as much shit.
Right. And then they're breaking up Wednesday into 2 parts in August and in September.
well,
So what does that tell you?
they are trying to turn the guy from what's that movie Tornado? He was also in Sydney
Glenn Powell's
Sweeney.
another
Glenn
name.
Powell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're desperate to try to turn him into a movie star. You can see the mechanism working behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well,
He's got potential.
He's got potential. They tried to. I think a failed recent attempt was Jonathan Majors.
Yes.
That's a good
wow,
example of a
big
failed
way.
attempt. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they really, really pushed. I know Andre's a big Jonathan Majors fan.
Oh yes. Huge
Well,
fan.
I don't have anything. To be clear, I don't have anything against Jonathan Majors. What I have a problem with is that you had the attempt at trying to manufacture a star out of him. You suddenly had this narrative about him as, oh, this is the most exciting actor, and he's such this superstar, and this
He was
once
this
in a
generation's
generation
Jai
talent. No, he
Courtney.
isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a passable actor. He's a good actor. I'm not reducing his talent, but my problem wasn't him. It was this. They were trying to do exactly what you said they should do, Tom, trying to manufacture to create a star, but they went about it the completely wrong way, and it was a way that could only backfire on him, which it did, doubly so, because they had labeled him as this huge thing, and then his own scandal, and then it just, that house of cards imploded worse than it would have otherwise.
The biggest problem is you could never predict usually who's going to become a movie star. And 9 times out of 10, that's why we have the jokes about Jai Courtneys and the Taylor Kitsch's and all that kind of stuff. The Sam Worthingtons, all the guys and gals they've tried pushing on us in the past.
Chastain.
Yeah, where we've just been like, no, thank you, we're good. You know, that is one way they've tried to do it. It's usually you got to look at like guys like Jean-Claude Van Damme's a great example of a guy who made himself into a movie star.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy that Hollywood did not want anything to do with. They kept trying to get rid of him. He kept coming in. He made a couple movies like Bloodsport and Kickboxer, and before you know it, they couldn't deny him, right? Because he had created such a big fan base of people that were like into those kind of movies, and he found his little niche.
That's a genre play, though.
Yeah, it was a genre play, and you'll have that. But like, what are you going to do now? Because unless Timothy Chalamet and Jenna Ortega are probably the only two I can think of that have kind of naturally become movie stars. But these guys are also people like Timothy's been acting now for what, 10, 15 years?
Chalamet is a great example, Tom,
Yeah.
because of Wonka. And I would even say, actually, forget Wonka, forget Dune, the Bob Dylan movie.
Yeah. People actually went and watched it.
Correct.
Oh, it was one of my favorite movies of last year. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's my top 10. But my point is that that was all star power. Wasn't an IP. It wasn't the Wonka. I'm like, man, this guy can now open a major movie based on his name. Good for him.
Yeah, and I mean, regardless of how Andre and I may have felt about the last Dune, I think both of us agreed that his performance was one of the highlights. And I couldn't believe how good Wonka was. Seeing him recently in the Bob Dylan biopic, you just Complete Unknown, I thought he did amazing.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, he's one of those guys. Like I've already compared him to Johnny Depp. I've said he's going to be this generation's Johnny Depp.
Well, and then you got a lot of potential out there. You got Austin Butler.
Yes, he's another one.
What's the other guy? Now you know what? Him and Glenn, because I think they moved on from Gosling.
Well, he's getting a little old too.
He's getting a little old. That's what I'm saying.
Leave our Canadians alone.
Just Gosling's still got at least a Ken movie.
Just because you said so.
And he's a Burlington boy.
He's still going to do that. I guarantee you the sequel to Barbie is going to be a Ken movie. And he's going to probably get at least that going. He's got that.
And Gosling's got a Star Wars movie he's supposedly.
Oh, yes. Don't forget the Star Wars movie that'll never happen.
Everyone has a Star Wars movie.
And hey, I don't know about you guys, but
movie.
I enjoyed The Fall Guy with Emily Blunt.
It was all right. It wasn't as good as I was hoping it was going to be, but
it's cheesy. I went in with low expectations.
Yeah, Chris is right, and that was okay.
Yeah.
No, I took my mom, and we had a great time.
I'm looking forward to the sequel that it will never get.
Right. The older ladies love the Goslings, the Russell Crowes.
Right.
Oh my God, they just go, they're crazy. And now it's Austin Butler and Glenn Powell. Do
you think about Gosling just for a second on Fall Guys? Sorry, Tom, for just a second.
No, you're fine.
You compare him to what was his co-star's name? Craven, Aaron Taylor
Johnson, who's another one who's kind of made himself, but
but think about it. Just putting those two side by side, Gosling's got more. I would say he's got sort of that extra thing you need to be.
The problem with Aaron Taylor Johnson is he's a fucking chameleon. He's a character actor who's managed to kind of find this place right between B level and A level. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, if he got the James Bond role, things would probably change.
And I don't know. I think his odds are slowly dwindling.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
I think Henry Cavill's on the top of the list right now. But
he's probably the most chameleon and versatile, like a Benicio del Toro or Anthony
And that's the
Quinn.
problem with him. He's one of those guys that people know him, but 9 times out of 10, you're like, who? And you're like, the kid who played Kick-Ass and who played in Avengers as Quicksilver. Oh, that guy. Yeah. I love him. Yeah. So it's like,
I think a legitimate up and coming star.
But he's been around for a while now, though.
Yeah.
I think a legitimate up and coming star, if she gets the right roles, is Sophie Thatcher.
Love her. Companion.
Companion.
Okay, sure.
One of my favorite films of the year, guys. Check that out.
She was riveting in Companion.
And she was also in Heretic last year with Hugh Grant.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
She's in Yellow Jackets.
I heard that was good.
Yellow Jackets, yeah. But I haven't seen that. I've just seen her. Seen her movie.
She was in the Book of Boba Fett, but I barely watched that, so I don't even know if I saw her.
Just get that out of your mind. Everyone was terrible, but Sophie's got potential. Sophie's got potential.
I think she has potential, and she seems to have that fire in her gut, which you need.
Well, then you have these other actors, and Mickey Madison's probably a good example of one. I feel sorry for her because chances are she's not going to have this career that she thinks she's probably going to have now, because she's not a leading lady actress. She is that character actress. And it's another. Should be playing the roles of if they were to remake The Shining, she'd probably be perfect for the Shelley Duvall role.
You're saying she's more of a serious actor?
Yeah, I think she'd be better in the secondary. Not quite. She's not Julia Roberts material. She may have made a ripoff of Pretty Woman, but she ain't no Julia Roberts. That's what I'm saying.
You have to understand the mindset of most actors, and that is they all want to or believe that they can be top line stars, and then over time, kind of fall into some level of reality if they're not insane. So even character actors think that they're going to be movie stars, and then they go, yeah, you know what, I'm going to be a character actor. But that happens.
She's more of a character actor, exactly.
But they don't realize it at the time, is my point.
Yeah,
right. I get you, and I agree with you.
And what's really funny is you watch an old show that grinds through actors like crazy, like the old CSI, which we have it running all the time in the household, and I'm going, wow, I do not recognize that guest performer at all. Like, I've never seen them since. Maybe they've been in some other small roles, and I'm not going to bother looking them up on IMDb. But when you look at it from an actor's perspective, they finally get that role, let's say in CSI 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and they're going, I am, in their mind, I am on my way. That's what's going through their head. Finally, my career is on track. I am going to be, it's finally hit, all this hard work. And then you never see them again. Like, I feel badly for the actors. They are cannon fodder in most cases.
I'm glad you brought up CSI. You know who's a good example of what we're talking about? William Peterson. The lead in CSI. He tried for years and years and years, could not just break into that leading. He was even in Michael Mann's Manhunter. He was in Young Guns 2. All these great films and great roles. Just couldn't break through.
No.
But speaking of breaking through,
and look at Caruso.
Oh, yeah.
I think Chris wanted to bring up Caruso. He left to become a movie star, couldn't do it, and then he came back and became a TV star again. TV liked him. He has what is called a good Q score.
Yeah.
There's some weird place too for some actors. For instance, if it could be the right vehicle, it may not make you a top line star, but that redheaded chick that sounds like Stevie Nicks talking, Natasha Lyonne, I think.
Oh God, I can't stand her.
She's got that TV show Poker Face. I mean, it's perfect for her. She is the star of it. It's an episodic show. That's going to be the pinnacle of her career, right? And she's been in a few movies.
Speaking of stars, even though Andre and I like to fancy ourselves as the stars of Midnight's Edge,
no,
the true star of Midnight's
Here he comes.
Edge.
Here we go.
Here he comes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hide your wives and hide your daughters. Here's Mexican Iron Man.
Hey!
And hide your baby mamas, especially if they work at the Gentlemen's Club on Hilton Head Island.
Yeah, and your sisters. Better hide them as well. Just to play safe.
Hide your sisters as well.
And your chihuahuas.
Yeah, well, but Bambino's in big trouble today. That's why I'm late.
What happened to Bambino?
I've been in the house for a half hour. Somebody did a naughty in the house. Which he never does. And I'm going to call it a political protest naughty because I didn't leave him his favorite treat when I left to go to the client this morning.
That's what did it.
That's what did it.
He got walked this morning. He got taken out at 6:30. There should have been no problems until at least 3 or 4 o'clock.
You know who Bambino loves? Me. Like whenever I'm at your place and I'm lying down on the couch, Bambino hops on top of my lap, falls asleep, and will stay there.
Bambino's racist. He likes white people. Like, he'll take any white person. When
as
Nick
he
Flynn was
should.
here, he hung out with Nick Flynn all the time.
There's this thing.
Wait a minute. Bambino loves me. I'm darker than you.
You've been gone so long, he doesn't even remember your name. You got to come back.
This is a true thing about older men. Like, as soon as they get to a certain age, animals, regardless if they like animals or not, will like their lap. They just decide that, yep, this is where I'm going to lay.
That's right.
But we got Mikey here for a reason, besides just the fact that he's the star of Midnight's Edge and the greatest YouTuber in the world. He's here because, as Packing Protons brings up in the super chat, Warner stock has more going than Disney at this point. Disney should be in junk status. So yeah, Mikey, bring us up to speed with what's going on here with Warner Brothers and their junk status, as it were.
Well, I will cite a variety of news articles surfaced. I'm going to pick the one that I think the one that's simplest, which is the Variety article. As reported in Variety yesterday afternoon at 4:30 Eastern, Warner Brothers Discovery's credit rating has been cut to junk status by the S&P, citing a weak linear TV outlook. With the expected continued slide of Warner Brothers Discovery's linear TV business, S&P Global Ratings has cut the media company's credit rating to junk status. On Tuesday, Standard & Poor's lowered its forecast for 2025 and 2026 for Warner Brothers Discovery, primarily due to, and I quote, continued revenue and cash flow declines at its linear TV operations, which will offset growth at the company's streaming and studio segments. The ratings agency said it now expects Warner Brothers adjusted earnings before EBITDA, which is earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization, to remain at about $9 billion for the next 3 years. As a result, here's the important part, drum roll.
Oh, you need one?
Standard
Like that ending there.
Okay, well, except this is about to be bad news, so we probably
that was very fanfare, wasn't
yeah.
it?
Yeah, more like that. There we go. That's for what I'm about to say. That's appropriate. S&P expects debt to equity ratio at the end of this year to be 4.3x, which is, quote, significantly higher than our 3.5 leverage threshold. Now, the folks playing at home might say, Mexican Iron Man, why are you talking in such complicated gobbledygook speak? What is a debt to equity ratio? Well, I'm glad you asked. Debt to equity is how much money do I owe versus net how much am I worth? And in order to get what we would call acceptable ratings, a credit report, let's just say for those of you to give you an example is that let's say you were used to having about a 680 to 750 credit score. Okay, and those of you know that 800 is the max, right? In your personal credit score. Well, the bonds and the commercial credit, it has A, AA, AAA, B, double B, triple E, and then you can go pluses and minuses. Andre, you can take over in a minute on the corporate rating system if you want. But suffice it to say, what just happened to Warner's is that they went from about a 660 credit score to about 550. Meaning that they can't borrow any more new money without it costing a ridiculous amount. Meaning, like, let's say you're going to go for a credit card, and instead of qualifying for a line of credit of 6 to 10%, the credit card company is saying, well, your credit's pretty low. We're going to give you a 32% interest rate. That's kind of what's going on. Now, of course, the interest rate for commercial isn't that high, but it's similar to that. If they want to borrow money, it's going to be much, much more expensive than it was today and going forward than it was before they changed their credit rating. So this is kind of important because what was happening, to go back into the Midnight's Edge archives, not that I was a star of this show, I'm but a lowly member who is trying to understand the YouTube ways of Tom and Andre.
And taco farmer.
Yes, for I am a low country taco farmer. Thank you, Paulie. But if you will recall, Tom and Andre have exceedingly covered what the Zaslav and the Warner Brothers team has been trying to do since he took over, which was, guess what? Reduce debt, improve earnings. And by improve earnings, we mean trying to hold the bay at the linear TV department, make sure the studios make money, and make sure the streaming makes money. So what this tells us is that the game is that it's halftime. And instead of us leading, we are losing badly at Warner Brothers. Like we thought we were going to score, and instead now halftime is over, and as we're looking on the credit scoreboard, we are behind 35-0 is the equivalent of this. This is not good news for Warner Brothers. This is really bad news, and it definitely puts the heat up. I think if I were the CFO of Warner Brothers, I would be looking to make deals to shore up revenue on the linear TV side, and I would hope that I'm going to make a ton of money on streaming, and I'm going to make a ton of money, especially in studios, to offset this, because this is not good news. The company could likely, if they continue to get bad news and the bond rating stays in the junk status or gets even worse, which it could get even worse, then we're going to have this company be a target for acquisition in short order within the next, I would guess, 12 to 24 months. All right. Questions, comments, additional commentary?
How soon do they sell off Discovery and split that off right away?
Well, my understanding is, isn't that part of the reason they're being downgraded is because there was the rumors of the split, Mike?
That could be part of it, but in the official news release by Standards and Poor's, they're not citing that as the reason. They're citing the concerns over two things. One is the revenue being generated out of the linear cable business, and two, just because of the balance sheet and just the fact that they owe so much and are worth so little. And worth so little is a product of their stocks sucks. I mean, if the stock price were like Netflix, we wouldn't even be having this conversation because their equity would be so high, the debt to equity ratio would be insignificant.
Yeah.
But the Warner Brothers stock price, it sucks. It's in the gutter.
Well, and I don't understand how this could be considering, like, Packing Protons brought up in the super chat. As far as Hollywood goes, Warner Brothers is the only one who's, for the most part, consistently had hits. The only real bombs they've had have been Furiosa and Joker 2 that you can really point at, and Mickey 17, maybe, I guess. And outside of that, I mean, Beetlejuice, Dune, Godzilla vs. Kong. We recently had Sinners and Minecraft. And this is right after Minecraft. How come they're being downgraded? I don't understand this. It makes no sense to me.
Well, there's more to it than just the movies. It's also
I get that, and I get
things, but the
the
big
cable
problem
thing,
is
but
that
they're not even the.
Yeah, it's the debt.
And they're not even the only ones who have a bunch of cable networks either. Yes, they have the cable company, but I thought they got rid of a lot of that shit with the AT&T sale.
Well, is the stock market reacting to this news? I know yesterday it was up, but I've attributed that to people just not paying attention.
So I'm going to respond to your comment, Tim, or Tom. I'm going to respond to your comment. So you're saying, how can this happen when other people irrelevant? What's important here is that this company has been incredibly weighed down by debt by the previous morons that have run the studio. And despite it having some wins in studios, as a financial concern, it is leveraged out. What we are looking at is a company that the markets, that Standard & Poor's is saying, look, you might be making $200,000 a year in salary. I'm drawing an analogy again so the people at home could follow along. You might be banging out. You might have had a lot of deals come through to where you're now making $200,000 a year. But guess what? You still owe $10 million. The house, the vacation house, the Lexus, the Mercedes, the boat payment. You got too much stuff that you owe too much money, and you're not worth anything. And the stock you hold in your Robinhood account ain't worth crap. Because as we look at this 5-year chart, this stock has languished. We're at $9 a share.
Well, I just can't understand how Disney isn't suffering worse. Like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Because even if you add in the parks and all that business, they're doing horrible.
Well, let's try. Andre, feel free to jump in at any time you want. The market cap of this company is $22.6 billion.
Yeah. Well, there's two different things, because again, the thing that helps Disney is all of their real estate. I mean, they own half of Florida with in Disney World. They have all of these parks. So just the sheer ownership of land is something that Warner doesn't have. I mean, Warner, they have a few lots and stuff like that, but they simply do not have enough assets to counteract their debt. That's a real huge difference right there. If Disney didn't have all of the land mass that they do, they'd be in the exact same position as Warner. So Mike is right. It's not so much about the optimism, which possibly there is reason for when it comes to movies and TV. It's the mountain of debt, and they haven't been able to get that debt sufficiently under control to the market's liking. That's really what it's about. But we are now at the halftime, as Mike correctly said. At this point, the markets would have reacted more favorably to the debt being more under control. The problem is that they are not as far along on the repayment of that as maybe Zaslav would have hoped. He has had some big flops to contend with, many of which came from the previous regimes. But still, he has to contend with that. None of this is the direct result of his making. These are things that have been inherited, but the chickens have come home to roost. But I know that Script Doctor, who just joined us, he has some very interesting takes on this. So I'd love to hear what you have to say on this script.
Oh, certainly. I just got in. I'm on a break from shoot, so I thought I'd pop in. So you guys covered some really great stuff already. That their TV and linear distribution model has been suffering, but there's also this weird political angle that's going on in California with Warner Brothers since Zaslav took over, and that is nobody wants to buy their stock. And that's the thing. Like Mikey's 100% right. If Warner Brothers stock was say $40 a share, this would not be an issue. And there's no reason for it not to be $40 a share, except for.
And that's my question. Thank you, Script, because that's what I was wondering and getting to. Is this about ZDS or what the fuck is this about? Thank you, Script.
Oh, you didn't ask me that question. Then I'm going to say in large measure, because why is a company like this, Script will finish this sentence. Why is a company like this at 111 when Script? What should this company actually be on the screen? Walt Disney Company instead
this
of
one should be $15 a share.
Yep. What should this company be based on performance?
On performance, they should be breaking 65. I think would probably make more sense because again, Tom, they still have their debt. And
that question we're all agreement on what you said, Tom.
Yeah, because they just paid down just in the first quarter this year, paid like $2 billion of their $38 billion.
That was what I was going to get to. It was more so I was trying to lead my way into this because my understanding is Zaslav has erased a ton of the debt. They're still going around saying that the company is X amount in debt when actually I think they're in less debt than Disney is last I looked.
They're in less debt than Disney, Paramount, and Universal.
Yeah.
They're in really good position.
So when I saw this come across last night, I'm like, what the fuck? This does not sound or seem right because, I get it. They're struggling, but every bit of Hollywood's struggling. And if this is over their television side of things, then why are they against them separating the television side of things from the movie side of things? Because I think that's what they were talking about, isn't it? All the networks.
You have to, we all know that a lot of these stock predictions are forward loaded. It's not about the present. It's about how much money can you make for me later on. And they're trying to predict what is going to be happening with Warner Brothers way down the road. It seems to me that Warner Brothers is actually a better stock to buy right now.
It is.
Not that we are offering.
I'd like to buy some, but I don't have no money.
We're not.
Well, if you're going to buy it, now's the time, probably.
This is true. Yeah. So you're not
because you know what,
any kind of advice.
Correct.
But,
thank you for.
But they're going cheap right now.
I was going to say because look, I get it. There's a lot of people that are like down on Warner Brothers right now, but this is going to be. Look, say what you will about Superman. It's going to be a big year for that. There's other things going on with Warner Brothers that are going to do well. This is so stupid and silly to me. It makes no sense.
Does anyone know what their studio rentals are? Are they full? I mean, this could also be part of the problems at Hollywood in general and LA in general. Warner Brothers was a powerhouse in terms of like where your stuff was made.
Oh, and property, they had tons of. They still do have tons of real estate, but they're.
But is it being utilized? Is my question.
Only for some pickup shots and various other studios renting the space that if they have to shoot in California, they can't shoot overseas.
Right. I was going to say to add to that script, probably a lot of non-studio rentals.
Yes, most likely. Like right now, the crazy thing about Warner Brothers is that they have actually curtailed their spending on their productions, and their productions have yielded better returns than expected with a couple of failures, such as Joker 2 and Furiosa did not do as expected. Mickey 17, I think, was really low budget, so it was kind of a write-off. But regardless of the fact, their finances and their spending is way more controlled than any of their competitors right now. It's remarkably so. Like you're not seeing anything over on the Warner Brothers side of them doing $280 to $300 million budgets for anything. Like heck, even what the latest Mission Impossible, it's got an extremely high budget, which Warner Brothers isn't even going to entertain like 50% of that for a tentpole film these days, and they know they can't. Also, a $38 billion debt for that studio compared to the debt that Paramount has, that Disney has, is a drop in the bucket.
Isn't Mission Impossible the last Paramount? Isn't that with Paramount?
It's Paramount
Yes.
as a distributor, but it's a Skydance film.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And Skydance is the one who's going to be buying Paramount probably anyway.
Or Oracle Computer Systems, basically, is what you should be saying.
Right. I mean, at this point here, one of the things that's been hurting Warner Brothers is, number one, Zaslav is very unpopular among a lot of the Hollywood people that don't know how to run a studio. Number two, as a result of that bad press, especially in the trades, no one has any inclination of actually investing in Warner Brothers, which they should, because this year alone, they have stolen the crown from Disney when it comes to theatrical releases. Like, they're the number one, the uno topo studio right now. You go see that Warner Brothers Shield before a film, there's a higher likelihood you're going to walk away with a smiling face than being like, what the heck was that? Like you would with Disney. And I think the only exception might be for this year will be Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah.
Because that looks like it's going to be a hit.
And I don't even think they anticipated Final Destination doing this well. I'm sure they knew it was going to do well, but I don't know if they thought it was going to do this well.
Oh yeah, look at the top five best performing movies in the box office right now. 3 of them are Warner Brother films. Like, anyone in their right mind who wants to invest should be looking at the stock, seeing it at $9 and being like, I need to get like 10,000 shares right now because this studio is on track to actually being a leader again.
Because my understanding is, and this is why I can't believe that they did this now right after Final Destination came out. As far as I understand, that movie made all its money back this weekend. Because it only cost like $15 million to make.
Well, let me throw even more political financial espionage on this thing. Okay. Guess what happens the first week of June? Anyone? It's the annual
It's a new season at the it's new season for you at Plan B.
I would imagine.
Wow,
earnings
all
call
these jokes are like almost as funny as Chados or not. No, the first week in June is when the investor meeting happens for Paramount. So the fact that this is happening 12 less than 2 weeks before that, I think is highly interesting and suspect. On top of that, Standard & Poor's is not the only guys. They're not the only commercial rating company. I mean, you have Moody's out there as well, and none of those guys changed the ratings of Warner Brothers, because usually something like this happens when they miss payments. Warner Brothers has not actually missed any payments. And
so
they
you're
haven't.
Saying that this is a Snyder bro.
No, I'm saying this is a Zaslav. This might be someone may have made a phone call, and someone at S&P may be trying to exercise some pressure on Zaslav in advance of the investor meeting that's coming up in less than 2 weeks.
Which seems like a bad idea to do.
Because their actual leverage ratio, they're doing forecasting. If you were to look at what the most recent set of financials, they're only at 3.8x, not 3. I mean, they're like, what's the difference between 3.5 and 3.8? Big deal. I mean, seriously, especially if you look at it historically, it's been coming down. So for S&P to do this is kind of bullshit.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Is this feels very...
It feels strategic, like there's something like out to get Warner Brothers.
Yeah, like
that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
I was only half joking about them being Snyder Bros. Like, seriously.
but this has been going on since Zaslav took over, because I think when Zaslav took over, their stock was at what, $13-14 a share ish, and then for reasons unknown, it just kept on going down and down and down. Especially with some of the wins that have been saying, "Hey, wait, this studio is kind of not revolting to their fans. They're kind of taking some risks. They're doing some stuff. They did Wonka. They did Dune." They did Beetlejuice. They did Barbie, for crying out loud. That was huge. Why would you not want to invest in this studio?
Yeah, and I found something out about Wonka that kind of was interesting. That was part of that Roadshow lawsuit, because Warner Brothers ended up getting to keep most of that money, or pretty much all of it. Because Village Roadshow was suing them because they're like, well, that's a sequel to our Wonka movie. And they're like, it has nothing to do with the Johnny Depp Wonka movie. And that's why that movie is a direct sequel to the original, I found out.
I mean, the prequel.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, prequel. Yes,
No
thank
worries.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they had no attachment to the Village Roadshow version, so like they kept a lot of that money too. I found out, and that did very well for them last Christmas. So that's what I was saying, is none of this made sense to me, Mikey, when I saw this. That's why I didn't really address it last night, because I didn't get a chance to really read it. I wanted to talk to you about it, because none of this financial stuff really makes sense to me when it's like, wait a minute, the company's making money. They're making moves that make sense. In fact, I thought I heard something or read something the other day that, you know, this HBO Max thing that they did helped they actually got a bump in subscriptions, I guess, or something like that. Not like probably a huge one, but enough.
Their
where it probably made a
resurrected brand,
difference.
yeah.
Yeah, the resurrected rebranding of HBO Max. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand this and why they would do that to this other than just vindictiveness. That's what I was thinking too.
Maybe the S&P is they're looking at forecasts and they're expecting some turnaround that's in the negative when a lot of other people are actually getting quite excited for Warner Brothers summer schedule.
Mike, you got some money I can borrow to buy some Warner stock?
No.
Paul, you're the next richest person I know. How about you?
That's why I'm rich.
I'll send you some on PayPal, Tom.
All right, cool. Oh shit. Anyway, so anybody got any more questions about this with Mikey here? It's a rare treat that we get to talk to him. But yeah,
I do get the feeling that, well, put it this way, there is a difference between what you prepare for the meetings and what you know internally. While they do have to align somewhat, or you're going to get your ass sued. Most people who are running companies have a very long-term sense of positivity. That's just the nature of the beast. And you know what? Who knows? Again, if they get a couple of movies under their belt that work, but I think their meat and potatoes is the rental of their studio facilities, and Hollywood is really in rough shape with in regards to that. That to me is Warner's Disneyland, right? That's what they were able to rely on in the past, is that their studio facilities were being
well, they also had a strong cable presence too, and that's what I think a lot.
Well, that's a problem. Yes, that's a problem too, right?
That I think
now.
They're citing here in this business.
All cable is dying.
And that's what and that was what I wanted to talk to.
Cable is dying,
and that was what I was kind of leading with, and that's why I was kind of headed towards, because that was what I was going to ask Mikey, because the one I read, the version of this story I read, had cited that the whole Warner Cable deal and things that are going on there. And I'm like, why are they holding them down for this when every studio that has fucking cable channels, they're all dealing with the same shit, aren't they? Yep. Or is it just because of the Time Warner Cable business?
I think that is a very good comment. I'd be interested in what's in the rest of the panel's rebuttal to what I'm about to say. I think the problem that we have in the markets is that these investment banks, the entertainment industry is so fluid, and these investment firms are so moronic that they haven't figured out how to judge an apple, a red apple against a green apple, against any other kind of fruit. And let me be specific. You have a company like Disney that's been allowed to lose billions and billions and billions of dollars that still gets a buy. Right? Then you have then you have Paramount. And then you have Paramount over there, the little train horse if you look at just sheer watch time, it's just kicking ass. Look at that. Look at the value of that stock. Sucks. Mm-hmm. And then you come over here, Warner Brothers, which in my view, as a fan, I think if I were to say what are my favorite movies over the last 3 to 5 years, I think most of them are Warner movies, one way or the other, whether they're bigger budget or not, Yet I think, and so what I think's happening is that there's not a fair rubric or a template that's being applied fairly to these companies that assess performance based upon linear or studio or streaming or whatnot. It's like these guys are. It's like Comcast, right? I listened to the Comcast call, and I can just hear the questions. The Comcast, despite having exciting things happening in the theme park area, good performance in that area, some decent performance in box office and studio stuff and stuff they put out on TV and yada, yada, yada. They're treated like a freaking cable company. They're treated like, all the questions are like, and what are you feeling about your infrastructure and reinvestment in terms of your delivery of high-speed internet? Get out of here. Get out of here, And so I don't know how this is going to shake. I feel really bad for Zaslav because he woke up, and interestingly enough, two of the articles said that Warner Brothers had no comment. You know what no comment means when something like this happens? It means that the CFO, the controller, and the internal chief credit analyst of the company didn't see this coming. They were surprised by this, and they're pissed.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions from viewers. Kelechi Oki wonders for $2. So what's the future of Warner Brothers like? Will Zaslav pull through? Because this obviously came as a complete surprise to him and the CFO of the company. So how do they manage this? What say you, Mike?
Ooh, let's just, I'd be interested in what Script or Chadwick thinks, since they're industry TV people, from the admin staff. Look, I think he can do it, because if you look at he's only at 3.8 debt to equity now, and 3.5 is the S&P standard that they're promoting. See, I think what's happening is that the S&P people are saying, well, we think, this is what this press release said, we think that they're gonna stay above 3.5, and so we're gonna downgrade them now. They could have just waited till the end of the year, or until the end of until the end of the next fiscal year, and then decided to do this. But they're doing it now. And if you look at what the historical performance has been, again, like Script and like Tom says, Zaslav has actually been winning the war, but he just doesn't have as many points on the scoreboard as we would expect for halftime. But the game's not over. This is just halftime. It's it.
Yeah, I would suggest that maybe S&P's rating came at the fact that there's a rebranding and a walking back of the rebrand of their biggest, streaming channel that they have from Max to HBO Max. They might be inferring that that's a bit of a negative move, as opposed to just committing to Max. But the marketing that Warner Brothers has been doing to remind people that it's coming back has absolutely been brilliant, and it's been engaging. And to Tom's point, they did get a couple of bumps in their subscriber status as well. So I'm wondering, okay, could some, bookworm over at S&P be looking at, they changed their name of their product again. That's going to reflect negatively in the next couple of quarters. So let's just get out ahead of it and label them junk, right, because we know that's going to happen. But so far, the opposite has been turning true.
Well, that may have happened, but that's not what they said in the announcements. But that very well,
right.
You know how these people are, Script, they're morons,
Yeah, because I see this as a net positive for them to switch back to HBO Max. It was silly for them to change in the first place, and most people agree with that. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that you also have to understand when you're talking about stock is that I think Disney is considered more of an institutional stock that's contained in more 401ks than I would say Warner's. Warner's is considered more of a traditional entertainment stock that is a little bit too volatile for a lot of 401ks. And so part of the reason that Disney's evaluation is still so high is that there's so many large investors that they themselves can't afford to let it settle in any kind of real valuation. They can't afford to. It has to stay as high as it is, because they're just too heavily invested in it. Whereas Warner's can go up and down just like any other stupid entertainment stock. The other thing too is there's this disease that happens in the stock market, or the stock business, is that these idiots are only interested in 5 or 10 major NASDAQ stocks. They're really not good at looking at true value stocks, whether it's in the tech sector or even house building sector or any kind of weird place. These idiots are only capable of managing 10 different companies at any one time, and so it's skewed that way to large companies. Nothing innovative at all comes across their desk because they don't know how to evaluate it.
I would argue that the reason, I think everything you said is correct. The reason Disney was considered one of those portfolio stocks is because it always gave dividends. And not speaking for any other Mexican but myself, but there haven't been a lot of other dividends. So
Yeah.
I would
Did you
argue
get your
they don't-
12-cent check?
We got we got another question for $5 actually, as opposed to 12 cents. Packing Proton says for $5. Is it possible someone wants to buy Warners and they're trying to lower the price by downgrading their stock? Getting conspiratorial here. Mike, have you seen something like that before? Would an ethical organization like the SMP be party to something like that?
Heck yeah. back in the mortgage crisis back in the late 2000s, but they're not supposed to do that stuff anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, let's entertain this scenario for a second, though. This is kind of how you would begin some kind of hostile takeover, wouldn't you? And that's kind of one of the things they're positing is a takeover of Warner Brothers by somebody.
I mean, look, this is so behind the scenes. Like, it would have to be like, it would be like, hey, let's get Zaslav. It would go like this. Hey, Script, what are you doing?
Oh, just chilling. What's up?
Hey, Script, look, here's what I need you to do. You're my boy at SMP, and I'm going to take you to the club this weekend. But look, man, I got this client that wants to make a move, but the Zaslav guy is getting in the way. Can we just like drop their rating just a little bit? I mean, you saw their last balance sheet. It doesn't look that right anyways. Look, this will be on the down low. Can you just drop the rating for me, bro? And then I'll hook you up on the back end.
The sad part is in fucking Hollywood, I can see that right now because ZDS is as bad as TDS. But
Thomas Connors Jr., how dare you accuse anyone in the entertainment industry of impropriety, sir?
That or I could just see it out of pure fucking spite. But Script, sorry, yes, it was directed towards you.
Well, I mean, I would not be surprised. There's not many companies out there that would have the money to do a takeover of Warner Brothers without severely compromising standards and practices and monopoly laws.
Stopped them.
I mean, it's going to stop them now.
I know, but
I like right now with Zaslav, he's got what his biggest problem is trying to get CNN back in order. Like that's a huge.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Good luck.
with that.
Good luck.
But yeah, the thing is, I could definitely see someone trying to scare him by getting some people to manipulate certain information to hurt the company on the surface level. But I'm at a loss as like what type of corporation. It would most likely have to be a corporation that doesn't have any connections to being a service provider or in the entertainment industry. So it'd have to be completely outside of that window that would want to own Warner Brothers. And those companies are very small.
Who's left?
Yeah, like who is left, right?
Yeah, the game companies, Sony's done their thing, and I mean, the era is over.
Pretty much. Like what, JP Morgan Chase, but don't they have investments in Disney like high? And so like I don't think they can do anything over there.
Well, people keep rumoring that Universal and Discovery Warner Brothers are going to end up merging. I'm like, I don't see that happening.
Impossible. Comcast and AT&T still has stakes in Warner Brothers. On top of that, Universal and Warner Brothers are still part of the original top 5 of Hollywood. You combine them, you now remove at least 30% of your competitive market within the studio system, which means you're making more of a homogenized monopoly of sorts. And that's already something the courts have been regretting since the Fox buyout by Disney. Like you can talk to the judges that ruled it was okay in that case. And today they're like, nope, we made a mistake. Shouldn't have happened.
Big mistake.
Look, I think the future is that Zaslav and team, I should say, need to continue doing what they've been doing at Warner Brothers because they've done a great job so far, in my opinion. But what they need to do in addition to fixing things internally and fixing through fans is, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but despite how he's regarded, Zaslav or somebody in the Warner Brothers structure needs to start kissing some Wall Street ass because this stock has not moved and has not rewarded him. Was that Script?
Oh no, I didn't say anything.
I think it was actually Paul.
It was me.
I
can't tell because everybody's in logos right now.
They're all Canadian. What were you saying, Paul?
No, I agree. The fact that the stock has been basically exactly at $9 and change since Zaslav has taken over, I think is quite quite interesting. I don't know how you move that.
Especially all the moves he's made, right? Like that doesn't make any sense at all.
When did he get hired exactly?
It's been just around 2 years, just over, because it was April of
22 or 21.
Maybe it has been 3.
Well, he didn't get hired. He bought the place.
Well, yeah, they took over, I should say. Well, let me look here. I'll get the exact date. When did Discovery...
It basically came out of nowhere that AT&T had offloaded Warner to Discovery, and that's
April
how he
8th,
came
2022.
in. Yeah.
So yeah, I knew it was April.
April 8th, 2022.
Yep.
Okay, here you go. Ready?
Little more than 3 years.
So it was at April. So we're at about $24 a share back then.
Oh.
So if you bought then and were thinking Zaslav was going to fix the place and do better,
nope.
Which he did fix the place and he is doing better, your stock would have gone from $24 a share down to today at 9.
I just want to say that little beep made it all the more professional. But no, like that's the thing that's funky with me, because
that's not my memory, but yeah,
he has done so much.
Right, April of 22.
So much behind the scenes that have done nothing but benefit Warner Brothers, and yet the stock doesn't reflect that. That seems very suspect to me.
It's fishy as fuck, because Script will be the first one to back me up on this. Warner Brothers has been a mess for the better part of 20 or 30 years.
Yes.
And when I say a mess, I mean a fucking disaster.
As a DC fan, I've been in a traumatic entertainment relationship with Warner Brothers. This has been more abusive as a fan, almost as abusive as my Puerto Rican ex-girlfriend. Thank you.
But I mean, I was hearing things like there was departments that were just running around spending money willy-nilly, not getting any. There was like nobody really technically running the company. Like, even though Toby Emmerich was like the president, like it was just everybody was kind of their own division doing their own things, and it was like a madhouse from what I heard.
So if you bought stock the week that Zaslav took over, you have lost 55.76% of every dollar of stock you would have bought back then if you believed in Zaslav.
And you know what's crazy is that they were absolutely right to believe in him, because he's done everything that they wanted him to do. The question you have to ask yourself is, why is the stock going down? It seems like market manipulation, like somebody's just saying, nope, we are giving up on Warner Brothers and this WBD in its entirety. And the only people that are hanging on are the ones that are like, well, either there's a loyalty to the company or they like what Zaslav is doing. And if the rest of the market doesn't like it, even though he's doing everything that he should be doing as a studio head, it basically is they're investing against their own interests at this point.
Well, so for people who may not know everything about him, he's been part. I think he was either one of the creators or one of the people behind Discovery back in the day.
Yeah, he's one of the people that revamped Discovery. Yeah.
Well, yeah, they grew out their networks, and then he first started gaining a lot of heat because of what he did to Discovery, because there was a lot of people that were pissed off that he changed a lot of the programming. But the problem is you can't argue with the numbers, right? Like he turned Court TV into like True TV and some other business like that. And I mean, as long as he kept Shark Week around, that was like the only thing that was a consistent viewership on Discovery. Like otherwise they were like, nobody watched Discovery. And he switched it around to where, like I've told the story many times, where I knew this was going to be a guy to watch because, you know, everybody was talking about the streaming services early on. And I was asking all my family members and friends, like, what do you got for streaming services? You know, of course, everybody had Netflix, but the one that kept sticking out to me, and I'm sure Andre remembers the story, is that everybody had Discovery Plus. And the weird thing about it was when I go Discovery Plus, why do you have Discovery Plus? And everybody's response was the same as, oh, we have to have it. And as soon as I'd hear that, I'd be like, what do you mean you have to have it? And they'd be like, oh, because they have all the extra stuff on there from 90 Day Fiance and blah, 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 this, that, and the other. And if you don't have it, you can't catch all this stuff. So I'm like, okay, so whatever he's done or whatever they've done through their, because it was not my stuff I watched, right? It's mostly unscripted TV in quotations, because Script will tell you most of that stuff is written. But point being, he's managed to cut the costs of whatever the hell they were doing and make it the app that everybody had to have when the streaming war was just beginning. And when Warner Brothers announced him as the guy that was taking over, I was like, weird. So I don't know if they were seeing the same things I was or what.
All I know is he's having a very bad day. He didn't sleep. He had a very bad dinner, and he's having a very bad day today. That's what I know.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, this would give anyone a bad day. We have a couple of more comments from the audience. Kalechi Oki says for another $5. I always said this: SaaS law is the red dot in a very liberal / progressive industry. Warner Brothers, per your guys' info, is the only Hollywood company actually acting like one. And yeah, market don't like that, evidently. And then let's see if we have something else. Hi Dragon Star says for $5. I was taught by my Econ 101 teacher that the stock market was based on nothing that makes sense. It's all illusion and perception. And yeah, your teacher was not wrong. Really, what determines everything is the feelings of the major players that can do major market moves. It's whatever they feel, and which guides their actions, and that in turn determines the stock price. And then, of course, you have like underlying factors that influence what they feel, obviously. But really, that's how you get like bank runs and everything like that. It's feelings of panic, feelings of worry. That's when the entire market crashes. No actual reason often. It's because people freak out. As like, for instance, I remember in Russia during the finance crisis, when the whole world was going off the rails. Of course, most people really didn't feel anything in their day-to-day business, but you had like this whole finance crisis, which was very bank-driven, and around the world, even people that weren't too directly affected by it were freaking out. And Putin did something fun in Russia, because you had the same thing there. You had all of these banks and everything, like all the stocks suddenly went down the drain. So what Putin did was he basically closed down the markets and said, you guys need to chill the fuck out. We'll reopen when you've gathered yourself again. Because it was basically just panic and fear that caused the things to slide out of control as much as it did. So, Mike, any thoughts on that? Is it more to it than feelings?
I mean, a lot of it, that's such a look. Is your econ person wrong? Probably not in large measure, but the reality is that it's a dynamic environment. Things starts, so rumors has an effect. Popular myth has an effect. Actual financial results have an effect. It's like going to the casino. Everything's its own table. Craps is different than blackjack, and you don't know. It's a lot like Forrest Gump. You don't know what you investing in the stock market is like a box of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get next.
And don't forget, Andre, it was not just fear and speculation in Russia.
No. Obviously, it wasn't just. But
it was. No, let me finish. It was also thorium in your tea.
Well, it was that too. Yeah. That too. And I know that Mike has to be leaving us, but we got this another one from Packing Protons for $5. Rumor has it there is audio of Alf saying Mexican Idol. YouTuber. So, yeah.
First of all, I have not heard this audio. Second of all, if this audio does exist, who gives a shit? Because Alf is a piece of shit, and we don't care what pieces of shit think. We don't give a shit about shitty shows with shitty characters with shitty little puppets. We're at Midnight's Edge. We're a serious journalistic opinion.
I like Alf.
You need to eat some more rabbit chicken, then you'll change your opinion.
I love Alf.
Yeah.
Says the taco farmer. Very serious in the morning. We love you, Mike.
I got triggered all of a sudden.
You did get triggered.
Well, we have something else for you before you go here. Stephanie G, the bad movie babe, says for $5. This is something related to something else entirely, namely Jake Tapper being humiliated on Megyn Kelly, which she deserved a little bit. And she says, 27-year television production specialist here. Worked at CNN for 14 years. I worked on Tapper's show as well. He's a total ass. Cussed out staff. I just figured, like, as a formerly loyal Democrat, that might cheer Mike up, or maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch Jake Tapper all the time. He was like one of my favorites, but of course now I'm red pilled as red can be. And you know, Jake Tapper just gives me the wrong vibe of just, he just seems like, what's the word I'm looking for? So he has a condescending personality, and you know, just
the haircut of a 14-year-old.
A white liberal.
I used to like him too. I mean, again, if CNN did nothing but go back to doing the news without editorializing it and becoming, quote unquote, the only news service that is neutral to the news, ironically, it would be the only service in the United States that does that, except maybe Ground News. That would be innovative. It's just
they need to get back to just covering car chases and the weather. Exactly.
And kids trapped in wells.
Yeah, and kids. Oh God, don't even remind. Oh,
for
shit.
20, we're here. Billy is still trapped in the well.
Now, Stephanie, I will add on that I'm particularly incensed with Jake Tapper because he's out there trying to sell a book and make money off of research that Biden was, ineffective, and the cover up, the whole 9 yards. But hold on, let me finish my thought.
Sorry.
But the real first person that sounded the alarm is a friend of mine. Her name's Lindy Lee. She's been on the Sean Ryan show, and she was she stayed in the Democrat Party longer than I did, and she raised tens of millions of dollars for them. And early to middle last year, within the party, she tried sounding the alarm. She got booted out of the DNC, and now she's out on her own, and now she's a hardcore MAGA like me. But she tried sounding the alarm. She's got a book coming out, and her book is going to be the important book because she was really behind the scenes and inside the DNC and in and out of the White House. And her book is going to not just expose that the media had covered up a decline, but more importantly, who are the people that were really running this country? And she's got receipts. So Lindy Lee is a person you need to watch. She's on YouTube. She's on Twitter. I follow her. And her book's coming out in the next month or two. And she's been on the Sean Ryan show. She's done all the podcasts. But that's who you need to listen to. She's a Princeton-educated gal. So like me, she went to a leftist university. But now she, like me, has woken up and seen the light. Lindy Lee.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Jake Tapper and him trying to make money off of this.
No, you know what? I think Jake is recoverable. People like Don Lemon aren't. Joy Reid is garbage. I mean, I think Tapper is not a stupid person. He's done some good interviews.
But they're all in the same fucking boat, Chato. No, I'm sorry.
I'm with 70.
Yeah. They really did the American.
We'll get back to that, but I know that Mike has to be leaving. So quickly before then, to Neil89 also said Mike's best math is always in service to boobs.
Hey,
which
I know how to count to 2.
Yeah, and also on that note, he also said before that, oh no, math. Yeah, there's math in these topics here. Not a lot to do about that, but yeah.
Wait, wasn't the Puerto Rican one? You counted 3?
If she's got 3 tits, then she should be in the movies. But before Mikey leaves us, I want to show something.
Funny you mentioned that. I actually did go out with the girl a long time ago in my 20s, and we went out. Well, hold on, this is a true story. And for Halloween, she dressed up as the girl from that what the Total Recall that had 3 boobs.
Yeah,
that was. And she had a top on, and she had a glued boobie right here. It wasn't glued.
And all Mikey could think is, if I only had 3 hands.
Get ready for a surprise.
Oh, you got a tongue. There you go. But I want to show this to Mikey before he leaves, because I can't believe I'm sharing this, because this comes from one of the Patman X accounts. But they're pointing out the obvious that I've been saying for months. Why ain't they selling this movie on this kid? He has made a collection here of quick clips I wanted you to check out. You probably haven't seen half.
When I was younger, I would get Hayden Christensen, which I really liked. Anakin Skywalker, Star Wars.
Okay, right. Took me a minute.
He's kind of a big deal. Okay, if there's one kind of character I could play in a movie in my life, what would it be? A Star Wars character. You want to be more specific and get the points? Oh, a Jedi? Yeah. Jedi is correct. Cool.
What would your character's 3 favorite movies be?
Good Will Hunting.
Yeah.
Old Yeller, but he turns the movie off before the end. Star Wars? Books to recommend: the Star Wars X-Wing series. If you Google X-Wing Star Wars Rogue Squadron, there's like 10 books in the series. Gosh, they're good. The Death Star is in range. You may fire when ready. I have you now. You're all clear, kid. Now let's blow this thing and go home. Stand by. Stand by.
Oh, he does. That's
Love it.
Great shot, kid. That was 1 in a million.
Love
The Force will
him.
be with you always. I mean, my first love of space was the opening of Star Wars. You know, when Luke walks out of his house after his uncle says, you got to stay on another season, and he goes up to the dune and he looks out over the 2 suns, and John Williams comes in. Dun, 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 dun. I just remember being like, yeah.
See what I mean? Why aren't they not selling this movie on this guy?
They should.
Yeah.
I think
But
you're right.
They should, but also Mike should be leaving because he has other business to attend. Mike,
I know,
thanks
but that
for
was for
being here
Mikey.
for as long as you have.
Love you all.
Mikey.
Love you all.
Hey.
Gotta go. Bye.
Nice to see you, Mikey.
Thanks for joining us.
I wanted his
Sweet.
response.
Give a pat to Bambino for me.
Yeah.
You let the Snyder bro get away from giving us a response, you know.
Yeah, but he had another bro that's paying for his time that was waiting for him on the other line there. So yeah, we'll have to get back to that reaction.
I mean, my quick answer too. It's not too late. I mean, he's going to be very charming on red carpets and interviews, like just from what I saw there. But you're right; they should totally be leaning into this guy.
You know what? I understood why James Gunn hired him a little while ago. It clicked for me.
Yeah.
Because
he has it. I think he has it.
It's a matter of like what you look for. Because I was like, there's no way that he's going to outdo Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill just looks more chiseled, more masculine, more testosterone, more manly. And then it dawned on me, yeah, that's one iteration of Superman, but that's the same reason why I want Henry Cavill for Conan the Barbarian. James Gunn isn't going for that. He's going for Superman the Boy Scout. He's going for Superman that isn't like a threatening Superman. He's just a goody two-shoes, and Henry Cavill was never that. He wasn't a goody two-shoes Superman. He wasn't a Boy Scout. This is Boy Scout Superman. That clicked for me after I saw the new trailer, and he was like, I'm saving people. I'm trying to do good here. And he kind of like loses his shit a little bit because he's just a Boy Scout trying to do good. That is Superman. Like, that's when it clicked for me what James Gunn is doing. That needs to be made more explicit, I think. This is Boy Scout Superman, how it should be, probably.
Yeah, I think so. No, I think so too. I think that's kind of what it is. James Gunn just needs to get out of his own way for this thing. But that being said, we got 5 memberships being gifted by Jesus Davila. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. And we got some more super chats to get through, so let's get to them. We got Packin' Protons, who says with $2, Google VO3 AI. Damn, Hollywood, watch out. Yeah, I seen you posted a few videos from the new AI, and it's getting scary good. I don't know if you guys have been seeing it.
Oh, I have to get. I don't know if I want to get too involved in this AI stuff.
Dark King says Avita production starring Ziegler is a flop. I think we got this already before, but thank you, Dark King. And then Dark King has a prediction. When Pedro Pascal's star in Hollywood finally starts to fade, he will come out as trans, having come out as gay earlier. Nobody cared. Yeah, by the time he finally comes out, it'll be worthless for him. Dr. Longdongler sends in a thumbs up to remind you to pound that like button with a £1.99. Thank you so much for that. Mark Field says positive vibes to you all and have a beautiful day. Well, thank you, Mark. He sends them in every day, it seems like, and we appreciate that. Here's one that was a tough one yesterday to talk about. Mark Daly sends in $5, says, rest in peace, George Wendt. Pour one out for Norm. The bar won't be the same without him, but we'll always know his name.
They need to change his last name to W-E-N-T.
Yeah.
See, don't you miss me, script?
I do. I just don't have kind of time right now.
Yeah.
This is the stuff. This is the stuff you're missing, man.
I think Norm would want you to drink the drink, though. I think he'd appreciate that.
I sat in his chair.
You have.
When I went to the Cheers set and got in there by accident. That was the only chair I wanted to. What's the opposite of vacate?
Occupy.
Occupy. Thank you.
It's like Wall Street. Yeah.
How's it hanging, Norm? How's it hanging, Norm?
Yeah. Hey.
Doggy Dog World and my underwear's a milk bone.
Thank you.
One of my favorite ones was, how you doing, Norm? I'd be the ideal weight if I was 7 feet tall.
It's so many, man. I mean, granted, he didn't write the lines, but
but he made it.
Although
that was a sad
the
thing
story of Cliff, how Cliff got the job, that's a really cool story.
Well, I always thought it was funny that him and Cliff never got a buddy team up spin-off show. That was always kind of the one that never made sense to me. But what's that? Go ahead and tell that story real quick.
Me? No. It's just like he was auditioned for the role of George Wendt and didn't get it. And then he, as an actor, said, you know what you're missing in this bar is a know-it-all.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And he just immediately went into his know-it-all,
his spiel,
shtick, and they went, oh my God, this is what a great character. He literally wrote his own character for the show, which never existed. According
He's not
to
wrong, though.
Oh, it's a fantastic character.
Because before Google, you always had that guy who knew everything in the bar.
Oh, yeah. I in high school, you will not believe this, but that was me.
I can imagine that.
And I think the best part about Cliff is the fact that he would get a lot of his facts wrong.
Yes.
Yes, that too. Yeah, but Norm, I mean, Norm he was named perfectly because that's what he represented, right? The Norm.
He was normal. Yeah.
He was the normal guy.
It's time to rewatch. It's time to do another run of Cheers.
Absolutely.
It's been years for me, so
it's one of the best pilot episodes. One of the most perfect pilot episodes. I'm going to do.
And it wasn't popular the first year, right?
Nope.
No, it took about 2 or 3 years to catch
up.
No,
it took the summer. It actually took the summer.
Yeah. Okay.
Summer, yeah.
But like, I mean, it's still a great example of just good sitcom writing.
And it stayed on because
you could say it was the greatest one. You could say it was
one of, especially if you want to go with
5, for sure.
That didn't really rely on pop culture of the time or anything like that. Because I watch it from time to time, and that's the beauty of it is it doesn't really age. Like, I mean, yes, there's certain elements to it that you're like, oh, obviously we don't still have phones anymore like that, and everybody would have a cell phone now. And like I said, even in Norm, not Norm, but the Cliff in the bar would be kind of obsolete. But the humor in it is all set up through the characters and family and friends.
Oh, it's very timeless. No,
all that kind of stuff. So
absolutely. And one of the things that it does is that I try to tell people that your location is a character. People don't understand.
Bingo.
That.
Yeah.
So
man.
They used the fact that it was Boston, the fact that it was a sports bar, but it was in the middle of the university district. And so it was a perfect way to bring in the snobs and also the regular people. And then of course, because it was a self-contained work space as opposed to Taxi's biggest problem is that all the characters disappeared to work. But you had Leah Perlman's character, all she had to do was walk by with a tray of drinks and blurt out a line, like bang, and it was believable. Like it wasn't strained. She just would overhear something, walk by and go, yeah, you and your mother. And then she's off.
I was just going to say, the show is like the ultimate gimmick show. Like each character had their own little gimmick. Every episode or business or whatever you want to call it, gimmick's kind of a bad word, but there's someone that we could really relate to in all those characters. Absolutely, man. Exactly. Like you always knew that Rhea was going to have some nasty line for somebody, or it was a surprise if she didn't. Yeah, and then usually it was for Diane, and then depending on if it was Diane or if it was the Kirstie Alley years, you knew that they each had their shtick. And
well, and also too, you kind of like the way Norm. Oh, cool. The way Norm idolized Sam, like we bought it. Like you were like, that was so great.
Oh, and everyone idolized Sam. That
and that's kind of the only thing that dates the show is the sports talk, really, honestly.
No, I like that. I love
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you want to really key in on one thing that probably does.
Well, because the alcoholic washed up picture, it was great.
No, but I mean,
The situation was perfect. A recovering alcoholic who runs a bar.
I mean,
oh yeah, the show is full of gimmicks. I mean, I hate using that word, but it is a really good. Like, if I was teaching a class on sitcoms, that would probably be sitcom 101. Would probably be Honeymooners and then Cheers.
Well, right? is it gimmick? Gimmick's the word, or cinematic, or like
no, it's a setting
device setting. Well, like I said, each character has their own business or their own. I hate using words like gimmick or shtick, but I'm trying to think of a better
story. So each character behaves as if they're the center of the universe. At the same time, it's complementary to all the other characters around them because the setting is what brings them together.
And the thing is, as Robert says, verisimilitude. You believe that person is going to come to their favorite bar. It's happened before. We know it's a type, and they want to sit in their own chair. And nothing is forced in it, right? And that's one of the things when you get like a family sitcom where everything is forced, especially the ones where daughter comes back the daughter loses job, comes back and moves back home with the grumpy dad. Like, enough. Give me a break.
Yeah, you got too many. I mean, one of the things that was great about Cheers is after they've established those characters within the first few episodes, you start to believe everything that they do to the point where you get to like the later seasons and you believe that Norm would have keys to the bar in case Sam forgot.
and then you love the kind of like the long guest stars or the recurring guest stars. Because again, you were seeing these people through the regulars,
right?
Through the regulars, how the regulars reacted to homeboy who was the stalker of Diana, or Harry Anderson, or Rhea's Nick, the husband.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Was because she would always talk about him. We never really got to see him. Yeah.
Yeah,
well, we ended up getting to see one because he was a hockey player who was killed by a Zamboni, and then there's Vera, the wife that we never saw.
Yep, Vera, we never did.
Norm had a wife that he always, right?
Yeah, we never saw.
That's true. Yeah,
that he never liked.
The sad part of Ben had they pulled like a John Candy, and we find out she's really been dead all these years, and that's why he keeps coming to Cheers. But yeah,
and the strength of the show, where when Kirstie Alley came in and the show actually got better, was a real shock.
Well, and the best part was she wasn't just a redo of Diane. That was
she was right.
That was the smart part. That was one of those few times where you could take an original main character, swap them out for somebody different, and the beauty of it was they didn't try to just find somebody who was the same. And Kirstie Alley had her own,
right? Yeah. Well, because it just wasn't her that was swapped out; it was the whole situation. Sam sold his bar,
sold the bar,
to a corporation.
Right. And but they dealt with it so well because look at the other side of it too. When you had Coach die on them, they brought in Woody, and it's like, holy crap! How could you ever replace Coach? And then you bring in Woody Harrelson, and it was like brilliant. Okay, now things feel right. It was a show that kept going, and the show emulated exactly what it was trying to be. And as Paul said, you make the setting one of the characters, and that's what made it feel so real, was that everybody wanted to be at that place. I think it was Thursday nights when it showed on television. So I remember my dad never missed that fucking show. That was one of his
Cosby, and that Cheers, and I'm trying to remember the other two. ER.
Yep, because Cosby took over Cheers' spot, I think, after
the
show ended it.
Family Ties?
Or one of them did.
Pardon me, what?
Family Ties in there?
I can't
think that was a different network.
Oh, was it? Okay.
No, Family Ties was NBC.
Was it NBC? Yeah. I think that was Wednesday or Mondays, though, for some reason, that feels like.
Oh, I thought it was part of the same block.
And it could have been. I'd have to look again.
Let me just bring up Frasier. For one of the things that has never been duplicated is that one of the tricks in writing a sitcom is you make sure that every single character is different. It's the only sitcom where the two main characters were exactly the same. That
You
was
could even argue the family was.
absolute genius. And the fact that they were highly educated, yet they acted like children. I mean,
well, that's
this
the
is
beauty
the
of
fun
Frasier
part.
was that
Yeah.
he should never have been a character that was reoccurring, right? Like he was that show's Urkel in a weird way, because he only showed up because he was dating Diane.
Right.
And then he had no fucking reason whatsoever to be at Cheers. If anything, Cheers was a place that was kind of below his status. But he liked
But Kelsey Grammer, man, was his
but
presence.
his character added that element to the fold.
Well,
that,
then he was there to lord it over the plebes.
Yes, yeah.
So,
but
I
of all
mean,
people to get a spin-off, that was the weirdest
Yeah.
one. Like I said, that
You're right.
I can't believe that George Wendt and Cliff, the actor who played him,
But
didn't get their own spin-off.
I'm not sure
Ratzenberger,
everyone
yeah.
that loved Cheers loved Frasier, though.
No, it was kind of a different audience. It was.
I don't know. I can't tell you that. But
The
they were
lead-in
both,
they tried,
both
but,
very
yeah.
funny shows. Extremely
But see, now
well-written.
Frasier's like a little bit more higher level. Like if Cheers was like in
I don't
in
know.
Sitcom 101.
No, Cheers is
no.
making fun of the pompous elitism of their status.
I would say that
intelligence.
Frasier, you wait and you save that for a later class, was my point, because that's a little more complicated of a.
Frasier is the two Warner Brother chipmunks. Indubitably. No, after you. No.
And Martin Crane, the dad was like Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
The dad could have hung out of Cheers.
Yes.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually,
think
the actor
Cheers-
was on Cheers for a couple episodes, and then they brought him in for
What's
the
his
father
name?
of
The
Frasier.
great John Mahoney.
Yeah.
Yes, British
The
guy
great
who
John Mahoney.
killed his British accent to sound as American as possible, so he could
He's
get
American. He's not American.
No,
Nope.
he's a Brit.
Yeah.
What?
And Kalekioki
I
had to
didn't know
remind you that
that.
those are gophers, Paul, by the way. I
Sorry.
knew the ones you're talking about too, but yes, they are gophers.
I did not know that.
I think they were ones that Chuck Jones created at that.
I'm having an Idris Elba moment.
Yeah, one of the best Brits faking
an American accent.
An American
You're
accent.
kidding me?
Yeah.
But
He was,
George Wendt will
the-
be missed.
Yeah. Sorry.
He not only was he in Cheers, he also was in a lot of films and a lot of other television shows, a lot of very memorable guest appearances and things like the Redo Twilight Zone, for instance.
And
was
I'd
in the
like
whole
to
cast.
I'd like to point out that he
talented.
died at only 5 years older than me, so I could check out at any.
Oh God! No.
Don't do this, Paul, because I worry about this every goddamn day. Because this is sad. Because even though George got 76 years, 76 is still too young to be leaving us, and it's too bad. And I mean, probably most famously, and this is a funny thing I like to bring up, especially considering where I'm from. He was one of those few characters on SNL that would pop up and not be any part of the other parts of the show, but he was always part of the Bears segments.
Super fans, yes.
Yes, the super
fans.
fan segments. Yes.
Those are the best.
That's funny. The Bears. That was him?
Yep.
He was one of those guys that would always show up. Yeah.
He wasn't the original main.
He wasn't the
host of that
original, right?
sketch. He came in, I think, when he was the host for one of it, and then they
just
"You
kept
wanna keep
bringing him
coming
back, yeah.
for this because he was better than the other guy." And
Well, he's like
Well, it's because he's a
probably-
Chicago native. Yeah.
He was
and
their
that's the thing is,
prototype. He was their
Chicago
prototype.
is crying today, guys.
And I-
like, that's the thing. You guys got to understand.
And I think it was
Not
Mike
just Chicago,
Mike
everywhere.
Ditka. Mike Ditka started the Bears. I think they started it when he co-hosted the when Mike Ditka co-hosted SNL.
when Mike Ditka came in there, because it was George Wendt, Mike Myers, Chris Farley, and then another guy who I think was mostly a writer, not really much of a performer, who was kind of leading that charge.
And that was the thing, is that was an ongoing thing. But my point with that was one of the few times where they actually brought in an actor just for those skits.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. And they had their own little story to them and everything. Like,
Mike Myers, man,
great.
he looks like a little old queen now.
yeah, I don't want to get into Mike, but
Like Mike.
no, he will be missed. George will be missed. I mean, he was in House was another great film that he was in that I don't know if people remember, a comedy horror film from Sean S. Cunningham, and also had William Catt. It's a good film that he was in.
It's a great casting, man. It was just perfect.
He was a great character actor. Whenever he popped up, it was like, oh, it's George Wendt, yay! Like,
yeah, but he
too
never
bad.
got that John Houseman fame. Like John Houseman did a lot of movies, but he was great on Roseanne, you know.
Yeah. But all right, let's keep moving on, guys. We got some other super chats to get here. Pack of Proton says, any chance we'll see Mission Stitch style set up this weekend? Kids see one, parents see the other. I predict no. You want to know why? Because I think the parents are going to want to see Stitch just as much as the kids. I still say this was a dumb move to put Tom Cruise in a 3-hour movie up against a kids movie that the parents are going to want to go see too.
Yeah, Tom Cruise is going to get
boned.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of like a good way to say ass fucked, because that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, there it's the leader of Midnight's Edge coming on strong.
Yeah, his fudge will be packed thanks to Lilo and Stitch.
My God!
I was going to say he might enjoy that, but let's put it in another term. Tom is going to get
very good.
He's gonna.
Well,
he's gonna,
also too, the reviews are not good for this film.
No.
Oh, and Lilo and Stitch is getting killer reviews.
No, not Lilo.
He's
Mission Impossible.
talking about
No. I know.
Impossible.
I'm saying in like contrast, right? Like
Correct.
Mission Impossible is not is
Right.
yeah. Most people are saying it's middling to maybe about the second or third best of the series, which is not saying much. And then you got Lilo and Stitch, where everybody's like, it's fucking brilliant, it's perfect, it's getting like I think it's got like what a 92% right now on the Rotten Tomatoes score.
So for us, Rosa gave Mission Impossible 5 out of 10.
Ugh, that's not good.
The first 2 hours were like unwatchable. It was like bad writing, bad acting, bad dialogue.
Well, this movie is almost 3 hours long. That's the other thing that's going to kill it, guys. And that's what I keep reminding people.
Yeah.
So that means parents can't even really technically take their kid, toss them into Lilo and Stitch and go see this unless they plan on their kids seeing Lilo and Stitch twice.
Or they'll have to leave the movie early. You know,
the whole family is going to go see Lilo and Stitch, going to make an event out of it.
Yeah, because adults are liking Lilo as well. The reviews, Rosa is very positive. I think 7 or 8 out of 10 on Lilo.
So it's winning me over. And I'm seeing what they're doing with a lot of the scenes and stuff, like how they're expanding upon it, how they're making it feel a little bit more grounded, a little more real world, while also keeping all the things that made Lilo and Stitch. So this is kind of hitting that perfect line of where you should do one of these movies. It's the perfect timing for it because, as I've said before, that's the other thing. Mission Impossible is your dad's franchise or your grandpa's franchise. The kids that have kids now grew up with Lilo and Stitch.
Yeah. Here's the interesting thing, because you're talking about like Barbie and Oppenheimer, right? Oppenheimer was like this, a lot longer, had nothing to do with Barbie. So in that regard, people that can't get a Barbie ticket went to Oppenheimer.
And they were both kind of adult films in a way, even though Barbie was kind of a family film, but not really.
Well, Barbie was a female phenomenon.
Yeah, it was PG-13, right? I think. So
yeah.
Yeah.
But what I'm asking you guys is, will people buy that Mission Impossible ticket because they can't get into Lilo?
No.
Because
the only people who would do that are dudes that watch all Mission Impossible movies, right? This Mission Impossible movie requires you to do homework. The people that will see this movie are the people that have done the homework, and they were never in the market to see Lilo and the Stitch in the first place. There's no people that are going to be like, oh, it's sold out Lilo and Stitch, I'm going to go see Mission Impossible instead. No, you haven't done the homework. The only people that's going to go see Mission Impossible are the people that were going to go see that movie anyway. That's no one's second choice. They went to the theater to see that one movie.
You know, Andre, you brought up a good point that I've never really thought of that angle before. Every one of these Mission Impossible movies has been a movie you can see the fifth one and not have seen anything before that, and it doesn't matter. You can see the fourth one, the third one, doesn't matter. This is the first time I've heard the critics say you have to have seen the first one, the third one, and the last one. And now thinking about it, I wonder if that's what it didn't, because a lot of people are like, oh, it's because it's setting up a sequel. And I'm like, that shouldn't matter. We've lived in this world forever. But then it dawned on me, there's probably a lot of people that had been going to the last couple Mission Impossible movies who probably missed out on a few and don't give a shit.
I can't handle the tension.
I have it.
And now I think they're getting to the point where yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I have a ticket for tomorrow night. I just don't know if I'm going to go.
Well, go see it. Because I mean, if you can, I would. But anyway, Oh, this is for Paul because Paul's got to leave us. So Pablo Papano says, Paul, I saw people get excited for a post-murder OJ. People get starstruck for almost anyone who had a brush with fame.
Yeah, no. I call it fame fucking. I mean, it's people. I mean, let me tell you something. When I was performing with the Frantics, one of my big mental issues is when I was on stage enjoying myself, I honestly could not understand for the longest time why somebody wanted to see me perform. Even though I enjoyed performing, I'm an extrovert. To no surprise to anybody, that was a mental block that I had. I went, why are people paying to see me? I was never comfortable with that. Weirdly, I don't know why, but I eventually did get comfortable with it. But fame is a really weird byproduct of just trying to apply your art. But OJ, people are going to. A lot of people ignore the bad side of these bad people just because they're famous and they're fans. That's part of the part of the business. Yeah.
Well, all those things you just said, isn't that why you got arrested?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Tennille says they can't sit in their own chairs. Paul took one. That was when you said everybody gets to sit in their own chairs.
Oh, yes. That's right.
And that's all we had for you, sir. I want to thank you for being here, but we did have a big ass one. So I'm going to do this just because it's a big ass one. Thank you, Bob V.
Wow.
$51. Says, embracing my inner hobbit, $1 for every lap around the sun I have completed. Thanks for all my years of great videos. P.S. Mikey's the best YouTuber. I'm sorry I didn't get to this when Mikey was on here, but happy birthday, Bob V.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We do a thing on birthdays, but I'm going to let Paul get out of here first.
So please visit my channel, Call Me Chato. I just posted a video earlier on today making fun or commenting on all the comment bots. So once you get to a certain point, I don't know if you guys, Andre, Latino, you guys getting those porn bot comments from
one or two here and there, yeah.
So
every time we post a video, the first 2 or 3 comments are going to be from various porn bots.
I
delete them.
I get 50.
Oh, you get more than me.
So
I delete them.
Always. I know. I'm deleting them too, but I decided to collect the best of them and make a video of all the comments that the porn comments I get.
Don't delete my comments, you sexy beast.
I'll bring you porn comments. Just don't delete them.
No, they're not porn comments. They're from porn bots.
I know.
Obviously.
Just kidding.
Anyways, listen. Wonderful to see you as always. I have to go stretch and fold my bread, and my alarm went off anyway. But I also have to. I also have to get back to my website business, which I actually work for my own company.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, Paul. We appreciate it when you can make it.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Talk to you later, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Paul.
Have a great day.
Take care.
And Bob V, holy crap, $51? I feel like I should give you a blowjob or something. Not that I'm into that kind of thing, because I am super masculine. But happy birthday to you, Bob V. And yes, Mikey is the bestest YouTuber ever. And 51 years, that's amazing, man. Holy crap. And you're a hobbit? That's strange. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you, Bob V. Happy birthday to you. And many more. $51. Somebody better blow this guy. It's not going to be me.
Well, we'll hope that there's a significant dollar there who can do that. But thanks for the support. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Bob V, for the very generous super chat. Appreciate that. And hopefully you got your money's worth with that. But yeah, let's keep moving on here. We got Bucky Cat who says SAG-AFTRA is freaking out about the agreement James Earl Jones made with Disney regarding the use of his voice in the AI Vader in Fortnite. Yeah, I didn't really get to check into this, but I've heard a little bit about this. Are you guys familiar with this?
Yeah, I have a speculation as to who at SAG-AFTRA has kind of launched this issue, and that's Duncan Crabtree Ireland, the worst legal representative for the union that they've ever had. I mean, it's a frivolous lawsuit. James Earl Jones and his estate made this deal as their own, in accordance with what they wanted. And I'm sorry, but SAG-AFTRA, you don't have any stake in that part. It's your entire union is to protect the actors to do with their likeness whatever they please, and the only issue that I can understand their contention with is the fact that it's an AI chatbot that is using the voice in the game for interactivity, but you can't have an actor doing that live while people are playing. It's possible. So I don't know what they're doing here. And SAG is currently still in the midst of a negotiation and strike with a lot of video game companies right now. So until they can come to a resolution on that, I think this lawsuit is really just bad timing, and it's also maybe making actors who didn't fully understand the capabilities of AI rethink that maybe they got a bad deal last time, because I was saying they were getting a bad deal. Some of the actor friends I knew of, I was telling them they were getting a bad deal, and they'll have to go and renegotiate. And good luck. I really do mean it. Good luck next year renegotiating to try and get more protections for talent when it comes to AI use of their likeness or voice.
Yeah, with the contract they made, I have a hard time seeing this even, becoming a point of anything. Like, what are they going to do?
Well, like in
I
the
don't
initial
understand.
contract,
Yeah.
they did give agency to actors to say that you can negotiate to have yourself scanned and your voice copied, what have you, for a specific project. James Earl Jones negotiated his Darth Vader voice, specifically his Darth Vader voice, to be for Disney, and that there's a perpetual payment out to his families and the family estate for forever for its use, and they can do whatever they want. And now, if the only way Disney's in violation is that they try to use his voice for The Lion King, because they didn't buy that voice. They bought him as Darth Vader.
As far as we know, anyway. Yeah.
Well, yeah, as far as we know, as far as family has said with regards to this little lawsuit, yeah, I mean, the deal's done. And the other part too, which is fascinating, is that doesn't actually prohibit, say, someone like Hayden Christensen, if he wants to play Darth Vader, and they take his voice and they use the AI James Earl Jones voice as an overlay for it, they can. It's still within the works to do. Hayden Christensen still gets paid, and that voice still gets used, and everybody kind of wins. But that's in an actual performance with either on film or television or another medium that is not as interactive as what Fortnite actually requested to do, which is basically say, oh, because AI is advanced enough that if you talk to it, it can talk back. Let's use it. Let's use it in this Fortnite game with Darth Vader, and you can now have a fun conversation with Darth Vader. And if you're clever enough, you can make Darth Vader say things that Disney would not approve.
There you go. And we are going to move on then, unless Paulie had anything to add to that from the acting standpoint. Do you think SAG has a chance in hell of making a case out of this at all?
SAG sucks.
Yeah.
I'll take that as a no then.
All right. Andre,
And they don't have to suck. That's the problem. There were so many
They
things
could
where they could have
swallow.
been.
You're the SAG leadership.
Yeah.
Like the Writers Guild leadership.
Right.
They don't give a shit about the all the working class people. Like Script knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Terrible
Andre, anything
deal.
to add to that?
Terrible.
No, I think that this has been adequately covered, and we can move on.
All right. And Mikey heard and says, happy birthday to Bob V in the chat. We got Cannon Barnes, who's been here for 2 months as a member. Thank you for that. And sends in a $2 super chat. Says, who came first, the Zegler or the Peepaw? What the hell's a Peepaw?
I'm not sure.
No, that's isn't.
Peepaw isn't that Pedro Pascal?
Yeah, that's Pedro, isn't it? Yeah.
Pedro's been around for a long ass time. I think Pedro's been acting longer than Zegler's been born.
This is true, but Rachel Zegler has been Rachel Zegler for a longer time than Pedro has.
As far as, well, I
sense.
mean, yeah, Pedro didn't really start coming out and doing the political shit until kind of the same, like the same era everybody else did.
Yeah, no one has had issues with Pedro Pascal until, really when he started to be like in a position to Gina Carano. That's like the first time. Before then, no one minded him, but then he got overexposed and he exposed himself to be a complete jackass.
Yeah,
that's when people started having a problem with him, and not before at all.
Yeah. Mark Field says Zaylan by Chuck Dixon is a great read. Oh, there you go. There's a good recommendation, guys.
Everything by Chuck Dixon is a great read.
Indeed. Packet Proton says movie stars used to come from TV shows. It happened naturally over 7 years of fan involvement. Choosing who they liked, that's gone now. Well, in some respects, Packet Protons, you used to have this thing where you had certain stars who were always kind of known as movie stars and certain actors who worked in television, especially back when it first started, because there was this clear separation and they had contracts. And I don't know if Script wants to get into that at all, but I mean, that's a whole other thing. But you're not totally wrong. Like, especially like with things like Saturday Night Live and certain other shows, like it was kind of like, especially with a sitcom or stand-up comedians back in, like, say, the 80s, that was kind of like the thing. You wanted to get, you know, a stand-up special, and then you get a sitcom, and then from there you hopefully would get a movie career. Tim Allen's a good example of that, right? You know, he started he just did exactly what I just said. And he barely made it, but he made it. You know, and some of those guys, that's kind of how it works out. But most of the time, not very many people make a jump from television to movies. It's a very rare occurrence outside of the few, like, guys that were already kind of, guys and gals, I should say, that were already kind of established beforehand, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was a very rare occurrence. So, like, when a Bruce Willis did it.
Oh, there's another great example. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh wow, you know, and because that really, and definitely movie stars didn't go to TV up until 15 years ago with House of Cards.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Sylvester Stallone being on television, I remember being a big deal with this whole thing with, like, Tulsa King even still.
Yeah, I mean, that's I think whenever a movie star appeared in television, like in the 80s, 90s, it was like, whoa, what's he doing here?
Yeah. It almost sometimes would feel like a downgrade.
Well, it was like a guest star,
or something like that. That was different if they were doing a cameo or a guest star.
Right,
but I mean, but if you had somebody who was a movie star for a long time and then all of a sudden they get a TV show, unless that TV show's a hit, then that's kind of like, oh, that guy's on the skids.
Yeah, well, even then they'd be like, you know, oh, he can't do a movie anymore though. He's got a good, you know.
Yeah, your movie schedule's out, but the other part too is TV is always more lucrative for an actor because it's far more stable than it is a feature film. Even if you're getting only, you know, say 250,000 an episode for a while, that's not bad. But if it becomes a hit and you cross that $1 million in episodes payday, you're living great. And a lot of actors really love that. I mean, that's one of the things. Even when I was in college and we went to the film side of things, all the actors were told, you want to land a sitcom. That's it. Like, don't worry about stage, don't worry about movies. You want to land a sitcom because
I mean, and to add to that, that's still the thing even for guest stars because, you know, as far as residuals and you know, after the fact, best contracts, best deals is, you know, Romy wants to get on those on the big network shows.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, here's an example of somebody who went back to television kind of for those reasons, and that's Michael J. Fox, because he did become a huge blockbuster movie star. But outside of the Back to the Future films, he struggled. And he eventually came back to television. Yeah, he did not have very many hits outside of Back to the Future. Secret of My Success was decent, and Doc Hollywood did decent. And he was...
Teen Wolf was mixed, but did okay.
Yeah,
I thought he had a great run, and then he just kind of he just grew up, kind of grew out of his roles.
He just couldn't, for a while there, he just couldn't get a hit because he did like Greedy, and he did the one with the Hard Way and
the Hard Way
for Love or Money, and they all just kind of flopped for him. I know they're great films. The Hard Way,
especially,
one with
Joan Jett, Secret of My Stick. No, what's the one?
No, that was was it the other, not something, it's the Rockstar one, I can't think
Light
of
of
the name
Day.
of it. The Light of Day, that's it, yes. And that was more of a cult hit.
Spin City was good.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying is he came back to television eventually and had a huge success coming back to television compared to his film side of things because he was just struggling on the film side.
Tom, someone just said Frighteners. That was the one.
It flopped at the box office.
But it's a cult now. Like
he's got cult hits, but as far as box office hits, Michael J. Fox's biggest hits are Back to the Future, Teen Wolf, Secret of My Success, Doc Hollywood, and that's probably about it. The rest of them are kind of middling to low level, if not flops.
Okay.
Or he's a supporting role, like in The American President.
American President.
Stuart Little is probably the only other thing you could point to in The American Journey, but those are both, voice work. So those were successful. But other than that, I mean, were people going to see Incredible Journey because of Michael J. Fox? No, they were going to see it because of the puppy and the kitties. That's why, you know what I mean? It's like, and Stuart Little, unless you were the parent in that equation, you had no idea that, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It was just Stuart Little.
And nobody went to see Mars Attacks for Michael J. Fox.
No, well, and that's another ensemble piece he did too. So
he was in that? That's right.
Yeah. Which I did some research on that. It didn't do as bad at the box office as I thought it did, but
no, it was okay. It was great. It was ahead of its time. A lot of people didn't get what was going on.
Casualties of War was one he got a lot of praise for, but I don't think it did all that great at the box office. I'd have to look into that. He had Big City, whatever the one was too, that did very well critically. The cocaine movie. What's it called? Big City Lights or whatever. What the hell is it called?
Bright Lights, Big City.
Bright Light, Big City. Yeah, that was another one. Again, a lot of praise, and he had movies that did okay, but he didn't have another blockbuster like Back to the Future other than Teen Wolf, really, and Secret of My Success. That was his big run of films right there. Yeah. But anyhow, that being said, let's keep moving on. We've got /11111 who says with €5.99 or whatever you want to, however you say that, €5.99. Also on Van Damme, I feel the version of Hollywood trying to manufacture a new modern B-movie hero would be that they tried to do with Scott Adkins. Or what they tried to do with Scott Adkins.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that. Yeah. And that's the other problem is somebody like Van Damme would just wind up on streaming now. Right? Like that's the problem is they wouldn't even get a chance to be Jean-Claude Van Damme now. Because it was he's one of those great examples of how he invented himself. He got into these low-level indie pictures. He started producing and stuff like Kickboxer and all that kind of stuff, which led to Universal Soldier, which led to Time Cop and Street Fighter, which Street Fighter was the point where he made a big mistake. Because if it wasn't for Street Fighter, he was on this trajectory to where he could have been the next Stallone / Schwarzenegger, whatever. Street Fighter really killed his career.
The thing with Scott, the thing with any action person, right, physical or wherever they're coming from, is that no matter what, you have to have dialogue, or even musicians. At some point, script they gotta talk in the film.
Yes. And that's why the one-liner was very powerful. But
right,
we haven't seen many people come up with some great quotable one-liners anymore for films.
I think Van Damme was one of the last of them, but Atkins is terrible with dialogue. It's not that he's a terrible, action star, but when you can't master dialogue as far as, and then to deliver it on your cue, you're screwed. I just saw that Weekend movie. I mean, it's the worst movie of the year for me. And because this guy, whenever he talked, he just sounded like a little girl. It's like,
yeah, he's got a funky look to him too. He kind of looks like Ryan Reynolds if it was his much lesser brother.
The Weekend?
Like, I don't know. The Scott Adkins guy.
Oh, no, I'm talking about The Weekend.
No. And so, like, I mean, look, Van Damme, you got to have something about you that makes you stand out. And that's what Van Damme had. He was very good looking.
Yeah. Yep.
And he also had the accent, which kind of made him Schwarzenegger-like, right? Plus, he had his own unique thing that he could do. And that was, as you pointed out, he was the muscles from Brussels. Well, he could do the splits. He could do all these fancy moves, the choreography and all that kind of stuff. He was always into that because, he had a background in dance and in martial arts. So he knew all this kind of stuff. And again, he made himself. He was beating down the doors of every studio, and he wouldn't leave a lot of these places until they would basically push him out the door, right? And again, I'm not trying to like say that he's this great whatever, but that's you need those kind of guys with that kind of passion and somebody that the audience is going to click with again. And they just haven't found that Van Damme or Schwarzenegger. Anyway, Go141 says, Midnight's Edge presents the man that everybody has seen. Throat diving connoisseur, dog liquor master technique, and Freddie Mercury gayer cousin, Pedro Pascal. Invite him, guys. He may accept to come. Hey, if Pedro wants to come on and talk to us, I'll talk to Pedro. I got no issues with that. I don't think Andre does either. And Paulie's just going to keep his mouth shut on this one. I could be real mean right now.
No, that super chat's hilarious.
I'm gonna lick this dick.
Wait a minute. That's not the actual thing he was dancing to, was it?
We don't know for sure.
Later, that's your voice, dude. Shut up. That's your voice.
That is an artist's rendering of what was probably happening at that time audibly.
But just to be sure, can we hear that again first?
You really in the name of science. We have
the name of science.
Right.
I'm gonna lick this dick. I'm gonna lick this dick. Then I'm gonna put it in my butt. Put it in my butt. Put it in my butt.
You didn't hear the whole thing.
Oh, God.
Oh, what's terrible. Woo.
That's probably what they were listening to. We don't know for sure. You can't say they weren't.
They're listening to something. We know that.
Anyway, Pilgrim Media sends in $2. It says McDonald's Inc. is a real estate company first and food second. This is true.
Yep.
This is true. And that's kind of how Disney is structured. That's true. And I think that's
they're amusement park first, and then film and television is one of their subsidiaries.
Yeah. Check out The Founder if you haven't seen that. It's a
that was good.
Joe Pat 87 sends it 5. It says, I look forward to latching onto whatever company buys Warner Animation assets. Bonus points if they can also acquire the Lorimar name. Honestly, I still don't know if it's as much doom and gloom as this was out. And that's why I was glad we had Mikey on here to help explain this. And I wasn't trying to like lead him into this, answer, but everybody jumped on it before I had a chance to get to it. I was trying to actually kind of logically get to that place, but this whole thing felt like it was a setup.
Yeah,
and I don't know what other word to use other than that.
It seems like market manipulation by talking to everyone that would normally invest and saying, don't.
Well, in that case, I wish I had the money too. But yeah. Anyhow, Joe Pat, look, as far as I've been hearing, they're going to be doing a lot of stuff with the animation.
Their new cartoon, Daffy and Porky, was it End of the World type of thing?
Yeah.
Looks good. So
it's got its moments, but it's going to be dropping on Max this month.
I think so, yeah.
So, and then they did sell that Coyote versus Acme movie, but my understanding, and this is what I kept telling people, is it's not that they're trying to keep these movies away from people. It's just that I heard, just like when James Gunn was made head of DC Films, they brought in somebody new to head up animation. Because let me tell you guys, animation was a side of things that really needed to be whipped into shape and overhauled. Because as I've pointed out before, you had things that were animated that were under different that weren't handled correctly in the past, and that's what took us so goddamn long to get Batman the Animated Series on disc. Was that you had the animation side of things going, we don't see a reason in making a Blu-ray set of Batman the Animated Series, while DC was just going, please, just do it for us, because they had no control over it. So it was just a bunch of bullshit back then, and hopefully that kind of stuff is going to stop. They have plenty of plans for the Looney Tunes, I've been hearing, so it's not like they're going anywhere or anything like that. So stay tuned. I'm sure there'll be more on that. But Flying Blind on a Rocket Cycle sends in $1.99 to send in a super sticker. I bet it's a Shiba dog. Then we got Jesus Davila, who's been a member for 42 months and now knows the answer to everything. So if you have a question, ask Jesus Davila. Please consider smashing the like button. See, that's some good advice. And Jesus told you so. In American, that's Jesus. Packet Proton sends in 2 and says, someone wanted an AI Andre. Check your Twitter. Well, I kind of already made an AI Andre, but I see you sent us something here.
Yeah,
So let's-
that AI sounded Swedish. That's a funny.
Yeah, you didn't like it because it was Swedish Andre, and nobody else
Yeah.
noticed. The only time they ever noticed is like Andre doesn't swear that much.
Tom Connors deserves a raise. Pay this man for all the creativity that he brings to Midnight's Edge. Tom Connors deserves a raise.
I
Pay
think
this
that's
man
true.
for all the creativity,
Especially after that Pedro video.
Yeah, this is how you know that that this is AI. I would never say
True.
anything like that. But
I know you wouldn't. Damn it.
Man,
That's just
I
my
needed a moment.
So hear that? I'm not going to get a race. You guys need to watch our videos more.
Dude, I legit started had the freaking giggles for like 5 minutes right now.
Oh, because of the
I
Pedro
saw
video?
you. Yeah, he was off. He was gone.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
gone.
Because there's that part, right, which is obviously ridiculous. But then I'm thinking, what the hell is thinking of Tom when he's recording it and stuff like that? Like,
Oh, I kept doing it on Toxic Femme. The ladies loved
it's
it.
such a silly.
They loved it.
What's really tragic is that Polly and I have probably met a number of actors that behave just like Pedro Pascal does. In that.
I mean, okay, I was trying to explain that to a friend of mine yesterday. It's like, when you're in LA, kind of see that type of behavior all over the place. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like a gay man dancing at a gay bar or whatever.
Actually, I
or,
was going to say what Pedro's doing there compared to most of LA is probably tame and probably pretty straight.
but the lick part, I was like,
Yeah,
what
that's
the hell is he
That's a bit
doing?
much, yeah.
Because I mean, he would totally dance like that, at a club. But you got a camera on you, dog. It's like, whoa. Yeah, but yeah, man, yeah.
And then Pilgrim Media says with $2, give the corruption to Mikey. He'll audit anything. I get that reference, and it works. Pilgrim Media says, speaking of know it all, remember Pryor's Mudbone. Oh, Pryor, Richard Pryor. Yes, Mudbone. Yes, I do. Yes, that's a good character. Excuse me, the wino guy. Tennille says they sit in their own chairs. Paul took one. We got that. Hollywood Burns sends in 35 South African Rand. Says Chief of War looks fantastic from Apple about forming of Kingdom of Hawaii. Thoughts on the senators now accusing Paramount of bribery. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting story that I've just become a little bit more familiar with. Now this has to do with the merger, the lawsuit from Trump, and some shit that Sherry Redstone wants to do, I guess. So like there's some, because I guess they're saying that the lawsuit that Trump brought was frivolous. And now look, I don't know if they've changed political law in the last 20-25 years or whatever since I've been in school, but I knew back in the day there was only certain, like when it came to being a news outlet, you can only do certain things when it came to politicians. But that being said, I guess that they were thinking that this lawsuit was going to get tossed, but Sherry Redstone just wants to settle with Trump, thinking that it'll help get this thing through, I guess is what they're positing. And they're also claiming now that this is borderline bribery, I guess. Are you keeping up with this, Andre, or what's going on?
No, I have not had time to follow this story just yet, so I'm not ready to comment on this just yet.
Yeah, again, I'm just becoming more familiar with it. I see where they're coming from. I'm not sure where this is going to go. Like Andre, I really am hesitant to really comment on it, especially considering I don't know each and every part of this. Because as far as I know, this is coming from her asking for a delay in the Trump case. And then I guess she just wanted to pay it out, I guess is what triggered this whole thing.
Yeah, so we'll have to get back to that in due course.
Script, do you know anything about this at all?
Not the execution, the accusations from the senator side of things. I do know that there's been some shady dealings that are being investigated with the Paramount and its merger and all the other parts of some of its affiliates having edited things in a way that might mislead people. But no, I don't know about the politics side of things and the accusation to Paramount of bribery.
Yeah, the bottom line is they're saying that this case should be getting thrown out, but since Sherry is putting in roadblocks. It's looking like bribery is basically the accusation. But yeah. I don't know. It kind of is fishy and weird on both sides to me. I'm not so sure there isn't a case to be made here on Trump's behalf. That's where I'm kind of coming from. So I'm not so sure that she isn't in the right place to just want to settle and get this out of the way. Because they did clearly edit that fucking interview with Kamala. And my point was, I was talking to the individual who just sent in that super chat behind the scenes about this. And I had said, yeah, but is it a case where my question was going to be, is it going to be a case where when it comes out that Trump didn't get the same treatment that Kamala did? And that might be the argument, is that she got this interview, her team got access to help edit the interview, and Trump wasn't going to get said access. If that's a case, then he might have a case, is what I was getting at. But I don't know the ins and outs of everything in the case. So there you go. That's the best I can say about it. And Tennille says, Andre, the word you're looking for is sodomized.
Yeah, that would be one of them. I was trying to find a little bit more, a little bit, which was a little bit more PG, and and my brain froze at the time. So
that's the technical term, I think, for
yeah,
it. So
we just went the full Norwegian route.
You went the full route. Yeah, I was gonna say you went the opposite direction there.
Yeah.
Packing protons. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said straight out what we would have said in Norway.
Packing Protons sends in $5, and I think he sent this after Paul had left, so he might be behind in the show. So I apologize for that if that's the case. I would have got this to him otherwise, because I did look for ones that were specific to him before he left. It says, Paul, 2 lead actors, what are the same? Sorry. What about Jerry and George in Seinfeld?
They're not the same.
Oh, they're not the same.
George is a pathological liar. Jerry is not.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say they're very different. Yeah.
Yeah, they work well together, but they are very different people.
And Jerry's not nearly as neurotic as George is.
Right.
And
actually, Jerry is less insecure. George is incredibly insecure.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, if anything, and that might come from like, okay, sure, like in real life, they may be more like, but on the show, like that's the thing is Jerry Seinfeld's version of Jerry Seinfeld in the show is his idealized version of himself, basically. Yeah.
And George is just Larry David.
Yeah, because Jerry Seinfeld on the show is basically Mahoney. He's the smartest guy in the room. He's always kind of on top of everything, in front of everything. He just don't give a shit otherwise.
Yeah.
Kind of like, but George just is too self-aware and too, at the same time, unself-aware. I don't know how to put that, but like.
No, he is so insecure that he has no concept of what's going on in his surroundings unless it pertains directly to him.
That's the best way of explaining that. Yes, exactly. Yeah, so I can see where you're coming from there, Packing Protons. There's a fine line, but it's definitely a difference. Detail Devil says, Macquarie says no MI8 homework versus other franchise. He may say that, but all of the reviews I've read, and this has not been just one, not all of them maybe, but most of the reviews I've read or heard so far have said you have to be familiar with the first, third, and the last film.
Yeah. I know what you are referring to, because what he was specifically, that's an interview from a podcast or something like that, that is actually from years ago. And those comments of his are coming back to haunt him right now, because the newest Mission Impossible does require homework, and it does have fan service and all of the other things that he lambasted in this podcast from a couple of years back. So that's what you're referring to here. That's why it's being brought back. Because what he said then is not what he delivered with this movie. And true. I think the movie is probably cool. Like, I kind of look forward to seeing it, but yeah, the homework assignments are going to screw it a little bit. Of course, not as much as the release date, but yeah. Sorry, carry on, script.
Well, to be fair, he wasn't lambasting fan service. He was lambasting how people used it as a crutch as opposed to something that can be rewarding to the audience.
Yeah. Well, that being said, also, all the other shit aside, the biggest problem with this movie is the same problem as the last one, and that is that it's too fucking long. And Script Doctor knows, because he's taken a lot of flack for saying this shit before, but there is a finite time that people will sit through these kind of fucking movies. There's a reason why the average action film was 1 hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours and 10 minutes back in the day. About 2 hours and 10 minutes is where you can push it. And when I'm saying 2 hours and 10 minutes, I'm talking like Hunt for Red October type shit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, like this kind of movie, a Mission Impossible movie, there's no fucking reason it should be more than 1 hour and 45 minutes.
That is your sweet spot, man. I mean, like that for an action film, 145 is your sweet spot. That, and if you can tell a great story in that time, then, and you can do that consistently, then you kind of earned your favor with the audience to get an extra 10 or 15 minutes in another movie because you understand pacing.
And you think that that team would have learned a lesson from a few years ago that it was too long and that, you know,
they should have split this up into 2 movies is what they should have done.
Or
well,
three.
they should
Take
have
the first one, this one, and make 3 out of it. And
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
should have been 3 movies.
That's kind of what I was getting at. Is it should have been a trilogy and not a fucking duology.
Yeah, but they're just they've also gone overboard with this, like the very long, monotonous action scenes. Whereas Fallout, Rogue Nation, you know, was a balance of like great story, great characters, and great action.
Well, and the person to blame for this is Michael Bay and Zack Snyder. They're the 2 people to blame for this shit. Because they were the first ones who started getting away with doing these bloated, overlong action films, and Transformers were one of the first ones to really start doing that. Because if you notice, you look at the Mission Impossible films, and I noticed this while I was watching them the last time when the last one came out. Because I did the first time I'd ever watched any of the sequels past 2. And once you get past 2 or 3, you notice that it goes up to 2 hours, 2 hours and 15. Then all of a sudden you're starting to get in the 2 hours and 20 minute range to where when the new one came out, this last one, it was 2 hours and 30 some minutes. And now this new one is 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh, I saw 251.
Or 251, somewhere in there. Yeah, it's just under 3 hours, basically. Once you add in all the previews and all that bullshit, it's 3 hours.
That's why I'm like, I don't even want to go to tomorrow night. So I'm going to get home so late at night.
This is not fucking Titanic.
Right. And then I got to be up in the morning like, do I really want to go?
Because, like,
Not
yes,
really.
I know the resistance that Script always gets when he says stuff like that is, well, what about Titanic? Well, what about Lord of the Rings? Well, what about The Godfather? It's like, look, there are exceptions to the fucking rule, but you have to be able to note, go back and look at when those movies came out. Not every movie around them was 2-3 hours long, right?
Yeah.
Comedies were 90 minutes. Action movies were about 1 hour and 45. Most films, dramas were like 2 hours. Why? Because the studio mandated that shit for various fucking reasons.
Number
one
one
of them, yeah, go ahead.
Audience tolerance. Number 2, number of screenings per day. Maximize your screenings per day.
Yeah.
That's how you maximize your profit.
Not only that, film wasn't cheap, kids. And they used to actually do film prints. That was another reason.
I mean,
they didn't want to
why
have to do
Gulf and
more
Western was-
reels.
That was
Yeah.
why Gulf and Western was so pissed off with The Godfather during production because they're like, why is it this long?
Yeah, and it wasn't until everybody saw the edit that they're like, okay, now we understand.
Now, exactly. And then you take a look at Lord of the Rings, you take a look at Titanic, you take a look at, say, True Lies even. Well, when you take a look at the history of those filmmakers, they actually did a bunch of 90-minute and short films and stuff, so they understood pacing and rhythm so that an audience could be comfortable watching a movie, and that they knew how to make those films feel like they weren't going to be the length that they actually are for you as an audience member. Sadly, Michael Bay, Zack Snyder, even to a degree, Christopher Nolan, hasn't really mastered that.
Ridley Scott's another one that's responsible for that shit too.
He had it, but then he lost it.
Yeah. But no, look, Lord of the Rings is the greatest example of this. Yes, you can do a 3-hour movie, but the reason why Lord of the Rings is 3 hours is because it's not 6. And that's why it feels like it's only 2. Because Peter Jackson made sure to cram every last fucking thing he could as quickly as he could into those movies. Because if you let those movies breathe like he did the last fucking 3 hours of fucking Return of the King, then those movies would be unbearable. They'd be completely unbearable. That's why he finally slows down at the end. Because otherwise, if you watch those movies, they're at a breakneck pace once it gets started. Like, there's no breathing room whatsoever between the time they set foot, from the moment basically that he turns to Samwise and says, "This is the farthest I've been from the Shire." Like, from that moment on until the very end of Return of the King, that shit does not slow down. And we're jumping months in those story time telling. Right? Like, it just goes and 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 goes. And you got to be able to be very crafty to be able to do that. And know that you have the stuff to make it that long. And the overindulgent shit that Zack Snyder and Michael Bay do is the problem. These people take 12 hours to just establish a scene. Because that's what I love about seeing those cuts where people are like, look, this is really what Zack Snyder's Justice League is. It's a bunch of establishment shots. Because outside of the very, very ending where he did actually make some changes in the beginning, where there's a few differences, the reason why the fucking theatrical cut is so much shorter is because they cut out all the establishing shots. It's literally like a half hour of just establishing shots. Like he'll show the outside of a building, closer shot of a building, the hallway of the building, the hallway leading up to the room you're going to get into, the door leading up to the room you're going to get into. In the Joss Whedon cut, it shows the building and then it goes right into the fucking room. And I'm not even exaggerating. That's pacing, kids. You cannot expect your audience to sit there and go, oh, okay, okay, here we go. Oh, okay, here we go. Oh, no, now is the scene going to start? Because they know just from their previous film watching experience, this is how films work. And when you mess with that too much, they're going to tune out after a while. They're just going to be like, this is just too much. And that's kind of the way these things have become. And you sit here with a Mission Impossible movie where it's adrenaline nonstop. People get tired after about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 45 minutes. They need a break. And when you're doing this for 2 hours and 50 minutes, that's too goddamn long. Just like this show is.
It's too much. I mean, to your joke about Whedon and the Snyder cut, you could actually take that Family Guy skit where Peter's in the theater thinking that the movie's about to start, but it's
I was just thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Or those production companies that have are the title cards. So yeah, you could go ahead and do something like that.
Sadly, that's the reality we live in now with the production company thing, because I've actually done it many a time now. It's like, Jesus Christ, is this movie ever going to fucking start? Tennille says, AI Andre is missing red hair and a chef's hat. Borg, Borg, Borg. The other one is.
Might as well.
I got the movie and I saw the film. It was good. Back in Proton says, Frighteners is one of my favorites. Creepy and funny, especially the shot where Fox drops to the graves as a ghost. Ew. Yeah, but sadly, it lost a lot of money. Yeah, sad. Packet Proton says, Tom sent you an edited Pedro last 10 seconds. So let me see if I can find that. Boom. I'm looking for you, Packet Protons, and I'm not seeing it here. Or did you send it my messages? No, I'm not seeing it there.
No más, Pedro. Pedro's not here, man.
I'm not finding it. I just got the... Yeah, no, I'm not seeing anything new. Sorry, Packing Protons. I got somebody else posting the AI Andre. But I don't see anything else from you. So just go ahead and DM me whatever it is you're trying to send me so I can get to it directly. Tennille says, Ne'er-do-well, lick the stick is in my head now. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry.
I'm gonna lick the stick. I'm gonna lick the stick. Then I'm gonna put it in my butt. Put it in my butt. Put it in my butt.
And we also have a Rumble rant from Fundo Shinjin for $10. It says, breaking news via Doomcock. Brie Larson and J.J. Abrams are teaming up to do a comeback horror movie. It is not April 1st, sir. This is not funny. No way this is real.
Would be hilarious if it was, though. I haven't heard anything about it, so I can't.
That's almost
one way or the other.
Oh, it's not a joke. Why shouldn't I be surprised? We do live in crazy land.
Is it like a Cloverfield thing or something?
Probably. Let's see here. I just pulled up the
Probably
story.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, here it is. Brie Larson to star in Wild Ride. Horror failsafe for producer J.J. Abrams. Film Nation launching hot project at Cannes. So they're shopping it out at Cannes, it sounds like.
Oh, so they haven't even made it yet. They're just trying to get a pre-sale deal for production.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Failsafe is what it's called.
There's a lot of that going on. Plus, he's filming a movie right now with Jenna, isn't he?
I think so.
In the UK.
Yeah, it's his
Well,
first
he's
movie he's
producing.
directed since, or is he directing or is he just producing?
I think
Oh, he's directing it.
He's
I was gonna say, because I
directing.
think I heard something about, yeah, it's the first movie he's directing since The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah.
It must be. Oh, is it Demimonde? Is that the one? Or
It's
it
a
might be.
secret project, but it's like got quite the cast.
They don't even say anything really about what it's about. Huh.
secret project? Huh? Interesting.
It's a horror film that is sweet and moving and is terrifying. So in other words, he won't tell you what the story is because he doesn't even know.
He doesn't know. Nobody knows. Nobody cares. It's fine. Just
He's selling the mystery books.
He's selling the mystery books.
So yeah, it's with Glenn
it's
Powell.
a modern take on creature horror film told from the perspective of a young boy who slowly begins to discover his beloved parents are hiding a disturbing secret about his mother's true nature. So it's just like a bunch of movies from the 80s. Okay.
Is this the Brie Larson one?
Yeah. So Brie is playing the monster, evidently.
Oh.
That's what I'm taking away from this. I'm assuming she's playing the mother role. Wouldn't you think?
Probably. I mean, she's old enough to
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, I just said in the private chat is the one that they are filming in the UK that he's directing.
What's it called?
It's untitled.
It's untitled.
So he hasn't figured it out yet, or he's trying to create as much mystery as possible so that people can, generate hype.
All right. With that, I think we are caught up, Andre.
Fantastic. So
And
thanks
we did
everyone
drop a video today.
who joined us today on the panel. Check out all of their links in the description. Check out the video that we dropped earlier today on Pedro. The video that Thomas has been playing back and forth today is in it. So yeah, make sure to check that out. Anyone else have anything to plug in particular? Script, for instance?
Scripts on Saturdays this Saturday, where we'll be reviewing I think it's a comedy script. I haven't read it yet, but it's a script where a divorced couple that were famous jewel thieves have to come together to try and stop their child, who has also become a famous jewel thief as well. So we'll see if that's going to measure up this weekend.
All right.
All right.
Ollie.
Yeah, what do you got coming up, Paulie?
Oh, really?
Well, this is the one thing that the Pack of Protons was trying to send me.
All right, go for it.
He's gonna lick the stick, and he's gonna put it in his butt. He said go to 135. So about 135 he said to go to. So let's see here. Proctor. I heard it. I don't think cutting is allowed is also said in the background there. All right. Well, thank you for that, Pack and Protons. And what do you got coming up, Paulie?
I'm gonna have a discussion. Some huge report came out on the electoral numbers, just how far to the right Latinos voted, and it's pretty amazing data. So I'm going to be putting that together in its own video to you guys. So please come and check that one out.
Right.
But yeah, some great information.
Looking forward to it.
Not that anyone here is surprised, right? None of us are surprised with it, but it's
it's good to get like validation and stuff anyway.
Correct. So that's coming up.
All right, and with that, bring on the koalas in the rain.
Helps if I have them set up to go.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain,
on the